Tonight we follow the journey of Dragonite, the majestic dragon Pokémon known for its kindness and strength. We'll revisit its appearances across the anime, explore its legendary roles, and reflect on the gentle wisdom it carries through generations. The story will unfold slowly, like calm waves under a night sky, inviting you to drift deeper into stillness. Welcome to Sleepy Pokémon, where nostalgic adventures guide you into deep, peaceful rest. Chapter 1. The Myth of the Dragon Pokémon. Long before Dragonite was known by name, stories of a great dragon drifted through the coastal towns of Kanto. Fishermen told of gentle eyes glowing beneath the waves, watching their boats as storms gathered. Children whispered that somewhere beyond the horizon lived a dragon who guided the winds and calmed the tides. These tales became the earliest fragments of Dragonite's legend, a being of both mystery and kindness. In these stories, no one feared the dragon. Instead, they spoke of its mercy, saying it saved sailors when the sea grew wild. The Pokédex of the earliest Pokémon League era described Dragonite as a Pokémon that could circle the entire globe in 16 hours. Such speed implied mastery of the skies, yet every description emphasized compassion over dominance. Trainers would later call this balance the heart of Dragonite's nature. Even at the beginning, its mythology was tied to harmony rather than destruction. Its image stood apart from other dragons in legend, creatures often feared or hunted. Dragonite represented peace through strength, a guardian who appeared only when needed most. In the days before its first confirmed sighting, Dragonite's existence was uncertain. The evolutionary line of Dratini and Dragonair was known, but few believed they could grow into something so large. It was said that Dragonair could summon storms, its presence causing changes in the weather, but the leap from that elegant serpent to a towering orange dragon felt too great for most to imagine. Researchers debated whether the creature described in ancient journals was simply exaggerated. Others, like the Lighthouse scholar Bill, believed the stories were clues waiting to be confirmed. Beneath the waters near Bill's lighthouse, the ocean holds currents that seem to move against the wind. Some believe this is the trace of a Dragonite's passing. The Pokémon's intelligence was rumored to be equal to that of humans, capable of reading the emotions of those it encountered. That trait, repeated through generations of Pokédex entries, would later be witnessed firsthand when Dragonite appeared in the anime, revealing a gentle consciousness behind its immense power. The earliest artwork in historical Pokémon records often shows a large winged creature surrounded by waves. In one, it reaches down to rescue a ship caught in a whirlpool. In another, its tail glows softly beneath the moonlight, guiding smaller Pokémon toward shore. These artistic depictions match the oral traditions of coastal families who spoke of a dragon that appeared during tempests, not as a threat but as a savior. For these people, the dragon was a reminder that even nature's fiercest forces could hold kindness within. When scholars began cataloging the original 151 Pokémon, Dragonite stood out as unique. It was the only pure dragon type of its time to evolve from such a delicate lineage. The transition from the smooth blue Dratini to the ethereal Dragonair and finally to Dragonite seemed almost poetic. It was as if nature itself had designed this evolution to mirror the journey from calm waters to open skies. Trainers who later raised Dragonite often described the experience as earning the trust of a wise friend, rather than commanding a beast. The myth of Dragonite also symbolized hope during isolation. Many trainers of the early era dreamed of finding one but rarely succeeded. It was said to inhabit the deepest parts of the ocean, appearing only when a pure-hearted traveler needed help. That pattern of rare encounters followed by acts of rescue became the backbone of its mythology. Even decades later, When Dragonite appeared more frequently in the series, its first impression remained that of a mythical guardian rather than a battle companion. Toward the close of this first chapter in its story, the idea of Dragonite rests like a quiet presence in the background of the Pokémon world. Before anyone captured one, before it battled under the bright lights of a league match, it was a legend spoken in half-sleep by sailors drifting on gentle tides. The waves whispered of orange wings and warm eyes. The sea's rhythm carried its name across generations. The myth of the dragon Pokémon was more than a story of power. It was a promise that somewhere out there, beyond the storms, kindness would always return. Chapter 2: Discovery at Bill's Lighthouse. The legend of Dragonite began to take shape one misty evening near the sea cliffs of Kanto. Ash, Misty, and Brock had followed rumors of a rare Pokémon sighting to a tall lighthouse that shimmered faintly against the ocean fog. Inside, they met Bill, a Pokémon researcher and friend of Professor Oak, known for his fascination with rare and mysterious species. Bill welcomed them warmly, explaining that he had devoted his work to understanding Pokémon that lived beyond human reach. His greatest curiosity was a colossal Pokémon that few had ever seen, one that he believed connected the ocean to the sky. Bill's lighthouse felt like a place built for dreams. The spiral staircase led up to a glass chamber surrounded by the sound of waves and the soft hum of machinery. Through a long telescope, Bill searched the horizon each night, waiting for a response to the signal he sent out into the dark. He spoke to Ash with quiet excitement, saying that the Pokémon he sought was ancient and wise, a being so rare that even the Pokédex held little about it. In his words, it was a creature that bridged the line between myth and life. As they waited together, the fog outside grew thicker, wrapping the lighthouse in a soft white glow. Then a distant sound echoed through the night, a low melodic cry that rolled across the sea like a song. The group hurried to the balcony, their breath misting in the cool air. Far out in the water, something massive stirred. The outline rose slowly, breaking through the fog. Two gentle eyes glowed above the waves. A huge figure walked through the mist toward the shore, its steps calm and deliberate. For the first time in the anime, Dragonite appeared. Its shape was larger than any Dragonite seen afterward, towering over the lighthouse as if drawn from legend itself. Its wings spread, and the fog illuminated their orange sheen. Though its presence should have inspired fear, Ash and his friends felt only awe. Dragonite's voice carried a note of longing, as though it recognized the signal from Bill and had come to answer it. It stopped near the cliffs, gazing up at the lighthouse light. For a moment the two seemed to acknowledge each other, one creature of science, the other of myth, meeting in a shared understanding. Team Rocket attempted to interfere, launching their mechanical weapons from below the cliff. The disturbance broke the moment. Dragonite's calm eyes shifted to sorrow, then power. With a single sweep of its tail, it shattered their machine, sending it crashing into the waves. It turned back toward the sea, letting out a mournful call as lightning flashed across the horizon. Slowly, the giant silhouette faded into the mist once more, leaving behind ripples that shimmered like starlight. Inside the lighthouse, silence followed. Bill's expression softened into gratitude rather than disappointment. He explained to Ash that seeing Dragonite was enough. Proof of its existence meant the stories were true. Somewhere in the world, Pokémon still lived beyond human understanding, beings that reminded them of nature's vast mystery. Ash nodded, realizing that not every encounter was meant to end in capture. Some Pokémon, like Dragonite, were meant to remain free. That night, as the sea calmed, and the light of the tower swept across the water, the group rested at the base of the lighthouse. Pikachu curled up beside Ash, and the rhythmic sound of the waves filled the air. Above them, Bill stood quietly by his telescope, smiling. He had met his myth, and that was enough. The appearance of Dragonite at Bill's lighthouse became one of the earliest defining moments of the anime. It turned an old legend into living proof, and set the tone for every future story that involved Dragonite. The Pokémon was no longer just a rumor told by sailors. It was real, a gentle giant walking the world unseen. The memory of that glowing silhouette in the mist stayed with Ash forever, marking the first time he understood that Pokémon were not simply partners to train, but wonders to behold. Chapter 3: The Keeper of the Sea. In the years following Dragonite's mysterious appearance at Bill's lighthouse, stories of the great dragon spread throughout the Kanto and Johto regions. Every sailor, captain, and traveler seemed to have their own version. Some swore they saw a Dragonite gliding silently over storm clouds. Others claimed it appeared beside sinking ships, lifting survivors gently to safety. These stories blended into a collective myth, painting Dragonite as a guardian of the seas. The Pokédex entries from those early days spoke clearly about this legend. They described Dragonite as a kind-hearted Pokémon that rescues people lost at sea. Unlike most dragon types, which were often fierce and solitary, Dragonite was portrayed as empathetic and selfless. It could appear suddenly, even during the worst weather, and bring calm to the waves. Its intelligence was said to rival that of a human, and it seemed to understand when someone was in danger. This compassion would become one of Dragonite's most defining traits across all generations. The anime reflected these stories through scenes of coastal calm after a storm, where silhouettes of a Dragonite could sometimes be seen soaring against the dawn. These glimpses were quiet reminders that the myth was still alive. While trainers searched the skies, few ever met one face to face. Its rarity made every sighting meaningful, a reminder that some Pokémon chose not to live under human command but in harmony with the world itself. In one recorded tale from the Johto era, a ship caught in a typhoon was guided to shore by a shadow moving through the waves. The next morning, sailors found marks of enormous wings along the beach. They never saw the dragon itself, but the evidence left behind matched the same patterns described in earlier records. Researchers began to suspect that Dragonite didn't simply pass through these storms by chance. It seemed drawn to distress, as if the cries of those in need reached it through the sea. Its role as protector connected Dragonite to Dragonair, the form it evolved from. While Dragonair was said to bring rain and control the weather, Dragonite balanced that power with purpose. Where Dragonair shaped nature, Dragonite guarded life within it. In the broader mythology of the Pokémon world, it stood as a symbol of evolution beyond strength, toward wisdom and care. Many who studied Dragonite came to believe it was aware of the human fascination surrounding it. Instead of hiding out of fear, it appeared selectively, choosing moments when its presence would restore hope. One old sailor from the Whirl Islands claimed that Dragonite once appeared beside his damaged ship, its massive body shielding him from waves until morning. He described its wings as warm, like sunlight breaking through the clouds. When he looked away and turned back, it was gone. This image of Dragonite as a rescuer carried deep emotional weight. It shifted how people viewed dragon types as a whole. For years, dragon Pokémon were treated as symbols of raw power or ancient mystery. Dragonite changed that perception. Its legend proved that true strength could live hand in hand with gentleness. Children began to dream of meeting one, not to battle it but to thank it. Trainers who raised Dratini hoped their partner would one day grow into such a noble heart. The Pokédex eventually summarized this beautifully. It is said to make its home somewhere in the sea. It guides and rescues those who are lost. A single line, yet it carried generations of faith and gratitude. Every rescue story, every whisper of wings in the distance, became part of that truth. As the third chapter in Dragonite's history closes, we see not a battler or a trophy Pokémon, but a silent presence moving beneath the waves. The Keeper of the Sea watches over travelers who may never even know it was there. Its legend lives quietly, carried by sailors' songs and the calm rhythm of the ocean. When the storms fade and the horizon brightens again, people still look out to the endless blue and wonder if somewhere out there, Dragonite is still watching. Chapter 4: The Hidden Power of Flight. Among all the stories told about Dragonite, none capture its wonder more than those describing its power to fly. Early Pokédex entries called it a Pokémon capable of circling the globe in only 16 hours. It could soar through the skies at supersonic speeds, crossing oceans and mountain ranges in a single day. Yet even in that incredible strength, there was quiet grace. Dragonite did not fly to dominate the skies. It flew to explore them. Its wings carried not only power but purpose. Trainers and researchers have long been fascinated by how something so large can move so gently. Dragonite's wings are small compared to its body, yet they generate tremendous lift. When it flies, the air around it hums softly, as if moved by a natural harmony. The Pokémon's body tilts slightly forward, balancing strength and control, gliding rather than forcing its way through the air. It often travels alone, watching over islands and coasts, sometimes seen passing by as a faint orange blur against a morning sky. In the anime, Dragonite's flight has always carried emotional weight. During its first full appearance in battle on the Orange Islands, it flew with speed that seemed beyond comprehension, darting between lightning bolts and deflecting attacks with swift precision. When it moves, the camera rarely lingers. The audience sees only traces, gusts of wind, glowing streaks of motion, and the awe left behind. It represents freedom itself, the feeling of endless possibility that defines the Pokémon world. Legends tell that Dragonite's flight once guided explorers who had lost their way. The glow from its antenna was said to resemble a falling star. Some travelers mistook it for a sign from the heavens, but those who followed it found safety on nearby shores. Others described it flying alongside ships through heavy fog, its wings scattering the mist as it passed. It moved in silence, but its presence brought reassurance. To see Dragonite in flight was to be reminded that the world remained vast and kind. In the natural world, Dragonite's flight behavior differs from other dragon Pokémon. Salamence and Garchomp are driven by battle instincts, often displaying speed as aggression. Dragonite, however, flies with serenity. Observations from the anime and Pokédex suggest that it enjoys the journey more than the destination. It sometimes circles islands with no intent to land, simply moving with the wind, wings gliding in wide arcs that mirror ocean currents. The Pokédex also notes that Dragonite's flight patterns are influenced by emotion. When calm, it glides steadily and silently. When joyful, its wing beats grow playful and it performs spirals through the clouds. But when angered or determined, storms may form in its wake. These subtle shifts remind us that even the most peaceful Pokémon carry power capable of reshaping the world. The difference lies in how they choose to use it. In later years, trainers began to associate Dragonite's flight with introspection. Artists and storytellers depicted it soaring through sunsets, a solitary guardian watching over the horizon. It became a symbol of inner balance, strength guided by compassion. Some trainers in the Orange Archipelago still hold small festivals celebrating the Day of the Sky Dragon, when they release paper lanterns to thank Dragonite for safe voyages in clear skies. Ash himself would later reflect on Dragonite's flight during his own encounters. He often watched the sky after long journeys, wondering if one was passing by unseen. That image stayed with him through every region, a reminder of how vast the world remained no matter how far he traveled. The hidden power of Dragonite's flight lies not only in its speed but in its peace. It represents a balance between the boundless and the grounded, between strength and stillness. To see a Dragonite in the air is to glimpse the purest form of freedom. Its wings beat softly against the clouds, carrying the weight of legend and the lightness of kindness. Somewhere high above, while the world below hums with life, Dragonite continues to fly, calm, tireless, and endlessly free. Chapter 5: The Battle of the Orange Islands. After many distant sightings and whispered tales, Dragonite stepped fully into the center of the Pokémon world during Ash's adventures through the Orange Archipelago. This moment came during his championship match against Drake, the Orange League champion. Drake was known for his experience, wisdom, and calm strength. His final partner was a Dragonite, powerful, disciplined, and unlike any Pokémon Ash had ever faced before. The setting of the battle was calm and bright, the sea stretching endlessly beyond the island's horizon. But beneath the still surface was intensity. Ash stood on the opposite platform, knowing this would be the greatest test of his journey so far. His friends Misty and Tracy watched from the stands. They had seen Dragonite before as a shadow or a myth, but this time the creature stood in the open, wings spread, eyes glowing with quiet determination. Drake's Dragonite towered over the battlefield, its presence both commanding and serene. When it moved, the air rippled. Its first strike came with incredible speed, weaving between Pikachu's thunderbolts and Charizard's flamethrowers as though it were part of the wind itself. Ash's team fought bravely, but every hit from Dragonite carried the weight of experience. It dodged attacks with precision, countered without hesitation, and struck with strength that showed years of trust between trainer and Pokémon. Ash cycled through his entire team: Squirtle, Bulbasaur, Charizard, Tauros, Pikachu, and Lapras, all battling to wear Dragonite down. Each encounter revealed another side of the Pokémon's skill. Against Squirtle, Dragonite soared high, diving through water blasts with perfect control. Against Tauros, it blocked charging horns with its tail, sending waves of dust across the arena. It even withstood Pikachu's lightning, its wings crackling as it pressed forward through the storm. But what made the battle remarkable was not Dragonite's strength, it was its composure. Even while surrounded, it never fought recklessly. It moved with a sense of honor, respecting every opponent it faced. The anime captured this beautifully, slowing time during certain strikes so the viewer could feel the rhythm of the match, not just its impact. Dragonite's eyes were never filled with aggression, only focus. As the match continued, Ash's strategy began to take shape. He noticed that Dragonite's endurance, while vast, was not limitless. His Pokémon worked together, taking turns to pressure it. Lapras cooled the arena with icy mist, slowing Dragonite's wing beats. Charizard followed with bursts of flame that forced it higher into the air. Pikachu timed each attack between those moments of lift and descent. The battle evolved into a dance: Dragonite against teamwork, power against adaptability. The turning point came when Pikachu faced Dragonite one-on-one. Drake smiled, understanding that this was where every trainer's bond was tested. Pikachu's final thunder hit Dragonite midair, bright enough to light the entire arena. When the smoke cleared, both Pokémon stood still for a moment, breathing heavily. Then slowly, Dragonite's wings folded. It lowered its head, not in defeat, but in acknowledgement. Drake thanked Dragonite for its courage, and turned to Ash with a calm expression. He congratulated him on his victory, telling him that true strength was found not in overpowering one's opponent, but in unity and trust. Ash looked up at Dragonite, realizing that even in loss, it carried itself with pride and peace. That moment became one of the most memorable in early Pokémon history. The Orange Islands battle showed the world what Dragonite truly represented, a blend of might and heart, unmatched by any other dragon type. It was not a monster to fear, but a mentor to learn from. As night fell on the Orange Archipelago, the ocean glowed softly beneath the moonlight. Dragonite, now resting beside its trainer, gazed across the horizon as if already thinking of new journeys. For Ash, it was more than a championship. It was a glimpse into the kind of Pokémon he wanted to train, and the kind of person he hoped to become. The Battle of the Orange Islands was not just about victory. It was a meeting between generations, a young trainer chasing dreams and an ancient dragon teaching him what true strength meant. Chapter 6: Guardian of the Orange Archipelago. In the peaceful years following Ash's Orange League victory, Dragonite became more than a symbol of competition. Across the islands, it grew into a legend of balance and protection. Sailors and trainers spoke of seeing an orange silhouette gliding across the horizon at dawn, wings catching the first light of the day. Many believed it was Drake's Dragonite, still watching over the archipelago long after the battles ended. Others said it was a wild Dragonite, fulfilling an ancient duty to keep harmony between sea and sky. The Orange Archipelago has always been a region of contrast, tropical islands surrounded by deep blue waters that can turn stormy without warning. Local folklore says the region's stability depends on guardians born of both ocean and air. Dragonite fit perfectly into that myth. Some islands held small shrines built of coral and driftwood, where travelers offered seashells and thank yous for safe voyages. These tributes were made not to a god, but to Dragonite, who they believed guided them home through treacherous tides. Episodes from this era showed Dragonite's quiet influence. In one tale, a ship trapped between waves was rescued when a warm wind carried it gently toward shore. In another, a sudden storm ended when a streak of orange light flashed through the clouds. No one ever saw the creature directly, but the locals had no doubt who it was. The Orange Archipelago may not have had a legendary bird like Articuno or Zapdos, yet it had a guardian of its own, gentle, strong, and unseen. The researchers of the Kanto League later connected these accounts to Dragonite's natural habitat. Its Pokédex data suggested that Dragonite lived near warm seas, where it could hunt and rest in peace. It was described as building its home on small, hidden islands, places untouched by people. Yet Dragonite was never territorial. It seemed to understand when to appear and when to leave, always intervening just enough to restore calm. Ash and his friends would occasionally hear rumors of Dragonite sightings during later travels. They would look to the sky, half expecting to see it again, but it never came close. It was as if Dragonite existed on the edge of human experience, visible only when the world truly needed it. That subtlety made its presence even more powerful. It reminded the viewer that Pokémon were not always meant to be captured or studied. Some were part of the natural order itself, existing to maintain the world's rhythm. The idea of Dragonite as a guardian was reflected even in the Orange League symbol. Its shape, a pair of curved wings over the ocean, was said to represent the harmony between water and air. The League's trainers often cited Dragonite as the ideal partner, strong, loyal, and gentle in victory. Those qualities became the standard for every Orange League champion who followed. Beyond the anime, Dragonite's legacy continued in the Pokédex across future regions. Each entry seemed to echo the same truth. Dragonite's strength came not from aggression but from empathy. It didn't conquer storms, it calmed them. It didn't claim territory, it protected it. That consistency across generations made Dragonite unique among all pseudo-legendary Pokémon. The locals of the Orange Archipelago still tell stories of a Dragonite that appears when the winds grow restless. Sometimes children claim to see it gliding above the waves at dusk, its wings trailing light across the sky. Parents smile and tell them that the guardian is watching over the islands, just as it always has. As the night settles over the ocean, and the tide begins to rise, the sound of gentle waves fills the air. The stars reflect on the surface of the water, forming patterns like scales. Somewhere out there, unseen yet present, a Dragonite drifts through the clouds, keeping quiet, watch over the seas it once protected in battle. In the calm rhythm of the waves, the people of the Orange Archipelago find reassurance. They do not need to see the guardian to believe. The legend of Dragonite has become part of their lives, woven into the sound of the ocean, the warmth of the morning sun, and the faith that somewhere above, the gentle dragon still flies. Chapter 7: The Lake of Rage and Lance's Dragonite. When the Johto region entered the spotlight, Dragonite's legend took on a new form, no longer a distant myth or sea guardian, but a living companion to one of the greatest Pokémon champions of all time. Lance, the master of dragon types, was already known as a powerful member of the Indigo Elite Four. But in Johto, he re-emerged as a defender of both Pokémon and people, and at his side was a Dragonite unlike any other. The story began at the Lake of Rage, where a strange disturbance in the water revealed a raging red Gyarados. Team Rocket had been experimenting with forced evolution, causing chaos across the region. When the storm grew out of control, Lance appeared. His Dragonite soared above the lake, cutting through thunder and wind. The image was unforgettable. Dragonite's orange form glowing through sheets of rain, its eyes calm even amid lightning strikes. It descended toward the water, wings spread, as if commanding the storm itself to stop. In both the anime and games, Lance's Dragonite became a symbol of righteous strength. Unlike Drake's Dragonite, who represented mastery through calm competition, this one represented justice in action. It fought not for glory, but to protect. When Team Rocket's airships threatened the people below, Dragonite launched powerful hyperbeams that lit the sky, destroying their machines without hesitation. Yet even in battle, it carried an air of restraint. It never attacked for cruelty, only to end harm. The relationship between Lance and Dragonite was one of deep trust. They moved as one, communicating through unspoken understanding. When Lance entered the Lake of Rage to confront the red Gyarados, Dragonite stayed by his side without a command. It helped calm the creature and later carried Lance across the stormy skies to chase down the villains responsible. Their bond reflected years of partnership, forged not through dominance, but through shared purpose. Dragonite's appearance during this arc marked an important evolution in how the anime portrayed dragon types. Before Lance, they were often treated as rare, almost unreachable creatures. With him, Dragonite became a living embodiment of loyalty and justice. Trainers who watched those episodes could see that the mythical dragon from the Lighthouse had now become a trusted friend to a human who shared its ideals. When Lance confronted the Rocket's hideout, his Dragonite broke through steel doors and dismantled their defenses with precision. It wasn't blind destruction, it was targeted, swift and controlled. The series made sure to highlight the compassion behind its strength. After each battle, Dragonite would slow down, surveying the damage to ensure no innocent Pokémon were harmed. That mixture of care and power was the essence of its character. Later, when Lance faced Ash and his friends, he treated them with the same calm respect he showed his Dragonite. He encouraged them to trust their Pokémon the way he did, explaining that power without heart meant nothing. His Dragonite stood beside him during those lessons, towering yet gentle, its expression kind. In that stillness, viewers could see the full circle of Dragonite's legend, from a mysterious protector of the sea to a champion's closest ally. The Lake of Rage episode and its surrounding arc remain among the most beloved Dragonite stories. It tied together all the qualities that made the Pokémon so special: bravery, empathy, and wisdom. Lance's Dragonite wasn't just strong, it was noble. It represented the best version of what a dragon type could be. As the storm cleared and the red Gyarados returned to peace, Lance looked to the sky with quiet gratitude. His Dragonite hovered beside him, wings glistening with rain. The two shared a rare moment of rest, their silhouettes reflected on the calm water below. For a world that once saw dragons as untamable beasts, this image changed everything. From that day on, Dragonite was not just a legend whispered across oceans or seen through mist. It was a partner that stood alongside heroes, a dragon who had stepped out of myth and into history, proving that true strength always begins with kindness. Chapter 8: The Heart of a Champion. When the Johto League reached its height, Lance stood as the living embodiment of what it meant to be a Pokémon champion. His flowing cape, his steady voice, and the quiet strength of his Dragonite defined an entire generation of trainers. To the public, they were symbols of perfection. But beneath the spectacle, their story was one of balance, between power and mercy, pride and humility, strength and peace. Lance's Dragonite had become legendary not only for its might but for its unwavering composure. When it appeared in battle, the air itself seemed to change. Trainers who witnessed it often described a sense of stillness before its wings moved. Dragonite never charged without purpose. It studied opponents, understood rhythm, and attacked only when the moment was right. Its Hyper Beam, the signature of Dragonite across every era, looked less like a weapon and more like an extension of its will, a bright fluid stream of light shaped by precision. In official Pokémon League matches, Lance and Dragonite rarely lost. They moved in synchrony, communicating through gestures rather than words. Viewers could see the trust between them, a quiet connection formed through years of training. When Dragonite fought, it did so with grace. It was known to catch falling opponents to prevent injury, even in the middle of intense competition. Those moments told the world that true champions valued care as much as victory. The Johto League recognized Lance's Dragonite as more than a battle partner. It was considered an ambassador of the league itself, a symbol of integrity. When Lance appeared on television or during official ceremonies, Dragonite was always by his side. Children watching those broadcasts would dream not of capturing the strongest Pokémon, but of forming the purest bond. Its gentle eyes and calm smile spoke to something deeper than competition. In the anime, one episode captured that bond perfectly. Lance and Dragonite faced a group of poachers targeting rare dragon Pokémon. Without hesitation, Dragonite shielded a group of Dratini from harm, standing between them and danger. When one of the poachers tried to flee, Dragonite simply blocked the path, refusing violence unless necessary. The moment ended not in destruction, but in quiet surrender. Lance thanked Dragonite softly, and the camera lingered on its expression, serious yet kind. That tone defined Dragonite's entire legacy through the Johto years. It wasn't only the anime that reflected this. In the games, Lance's Dragonite remained his most iconic partner. When players faced him as the final challenge of the Indigo Plateau, the music slowed and intensified. The moment Dragonite entered battle, the background shifted to convey scale. The player stood before the peak of what a trainer could achieve. Yet even then, Dragonite's design radiated warmth. It looked approachable, almost gentle, contrasting sharply with the tension of the encounter. That duality became central to its identity. Dragonite could unleash power enough to level mountains, yet it chose not to unless absolutely required. It was a creature of restraint and mindfulness, traits that reflected Lance's philosophy. He believed strength must protect, never intimidate. Through his Dragonite, that belief became visible to millions. Over time, Dragonite's legend within the league transformed from a story of dominance into one of guidance. New trainers sought out Lance not only for strategy but for wisdom. They asked how he had found such harmony with his Pokémon. His answer was always simple: I listened. He taught that Dragonite's heart was not won through control, but through patience. That single line carried through the years, shaping how the world saw dragon types thereafter. In the calm after every battle, Dragonite's wings folded gently. It looked to the horizon, always peaceful, never restless. For all its glory, it never acted like a conqueror. Instead, it carried itself like a guardian, aware of its strength, yet uninterested in proving it. The bond between Lance and Dragonite remains one of the defining partnerships in Pokémon history. Their legacy became the blueprint for every future dragon trainer, who sought meaning in both heart and discipline. When the league lights dimmed and the crowd's cheers faded into the night, Dragonite stood beside its trainer in quiet companionship. The champion's heart beat in rhythm with its guardian's wings, both bound by respect, loyalty, and a love for the skies they shared. Chapter 9: A Messenger from Afar. Dragonite's next great appearance in the Pokémon world came not in the midst of battle, but as a bearer of peace. In the first Pokémon movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back, Dragonite played a quiet yet memorable role as a messenger, an embodiment of trust and connection between distant trainers. Its presence in that story showed another side of the species, one that valued communication as deeply as strength. The film began with Mewtwo, a powerful clone created through human experimentation, inviting select trainers to a mysterious island to test their skills. Rather than using technology or human messengers, Mewtwo chose Dragonite. It was a subtle but meaningful choice. Among all Pokémon, few could navigate the world's skies as swiftly and safely. Dragonite's intelligence and calm nature made it the perfect envoy for a mission that required discretion and grace. In the anime tie-in, viewers saw Dragonite gliding through dark clouds with a satchel around its neck, carrying sealed invitations. It delivered each one personally, knocking gently at doors and waiting politely before handing the message to the recipient. Trainers reacted with wonder rather than fear. Some opened their doors to find Dragonite towering over them, yet they smiled in awe at its soft expression. Its eyes, large and kind, reassured them even before they read the letter. The message it carried invited the world's strongest trainers to New Island. The storm surrounding the destination was fierce, but Dragonite's flight cut through it easily. Every delivery felt deliberate and meaningful, almost ceremonial. For a brief time, Dragonite became the link between humans and the unknown, a bridge of trust before chaos unfolded. But not everyone met Dragonite with kindness. When it reached Team Rocket's hideout to deliver the final letter, Jesse and James intercepted it. Their curiosity and greed led them to grab the envelope, provoking the gentle dragon. Dragonite's expression shifted from patience to mild irritation, a rare glimpse of frustration in a Pokémon usually defined by peace. It swatted them away with minimal force, sending them tumbling into a pile of crates. Then, without another word, it resumed its mission. When Dragonite finally reached Ash and his friends, it descended through the rain with effortless control. The invitation it delivered glowed faintly in the stormlight. Ash read it aloud, learning that only the world's greatest trainers were being summoned to the island. The moment captured the audience's attention, not because of Mewtwo's mystery, but because of Dragonite's silent dignity. In a world often driven by conflict, here was a dragon Pokémon who carried messages instead of attacks, who served as a symbol of connection rather than division. After completing its deliveries, Dragonite faced a brief challenge from Team Rocket again, who tried to chase it in their balloon. The chase was almost comical. Dragonite flew in smooth arcs, turning gracefully as if humoring them, before sending them spinning away with a gentle gust of wind. Even in moments of annoyance, it never lashed out in anger. It demonstrated perfect control, power guided by patience. As the storm intensified and the movie's events unfolded on New Island, Dragonite's role concluded quietly. It did not fight alongside the others or take part in the great clash between Mew and Mewtwo. Instead, it disappeared into the clouds, its mission complete. Its silence was meaningful. Not every act of greatness requires battle. Sometimes purpose is fulfilled in service. The messenger Dragonite from Mewtwo Strikes Back reminded audiences that these creatures were more than tools of competition. They could embody wisdom, empathy, and diplomacy. In later interviews, the film's creators noted that Dragonite was chosen for this role because of its image, a being of immense strength, yet gentle enough to deliver letters by hand. In the calm after the movie's storm, Dragonite's flight lingered in memory. Viewers remembered not the clash of powers, but the sight of a lone dragon gliding through rain to carry messages of destiny. It proved that kindness and reliability could be just as powerful as any hyper beam. From myth to guardian to messenger, Dragonite continued to show that its legacy was built not on force, but on heart. Chapter 10. The Dragonite of the Dragon's Den. Far to the north of Johto, hidden beneath the cliffs of Blackthorn City, lies a sacred place known as the Dragon's Den. It is a quiet cavern filled with still pools and glowing crystals, where the air hums faintly with ancient energy. For generations, this place has served as the home and training ground for dragon-type Pokémon. Among them, none are more revered than Dragonite. The trainers who come here are not simply looking to battle. They come seeking understanding. The Dragon's Den is a sanctuary rather than an arena. Here, Dragonair glides silently through the mist, their scales reflecting the light of the cave's luminous stones. The older and wiser Dragonite dwell deeper within, watching over the younger dragons as teachers and protectors. To meet one is considered a rite of passage for aspiring dragon masters. Only those who demonstrate patience, humility, and respect are allowed to enter its inner chamber. Claire, the Dragon-type gym leader of Blackthorn City, trains here under the same philosophy as her cousin Lance. Her bond with Dragon-type Pokémon is legendary, and she teaches that to truly master dragons, one must first understand them. In both the anime and the games, Claire's connection to Dragonite and its kin reflects the region's deep respect for these creatures. It is said that a Dragonite lives at the heart of the den, a guardian spirit who ensures that only worthy trainers earn its blessing. In the anime, Ash and his friends travel to Blackthorn City near the end of their Johto journey. There, they encounter the power and tradition of the Dragon's Den firsthand. The episode shows the cavern as a place of both awe and serenity. The sound of running water echoes through the chamber, and the warm glow of crystals paints the air in shades of blue and gold. It is in this setting that the legend of Dragonite feels most alive, less a myth, more a living presence of nature's wisdom. When Claire speaks of Dragonite, her tone carries reverence. She explains that Dragonite is the final evolution of a Pokémon line that embodies both the calm of water. Within the den, Dragonite represents completion, the perfect harmony of strength, grace, and spirit. Trainers who reach the inner sanctum are often met not by a battle, but by silence. Only when they have shown restraint and empathy does Dragonite emerge, its steps slow and deliberate. The games also preserve this atmosphere. In Pokémon Gold, Silver, and Crystal, players who earn Claire's badge are sent into the Dragon's Den to prove their character. They must answer questions about kindness, trust, and teamwork. Only by giving honest and compassionate answers do they pass the test. The spirit of the den's Dragonite, unseen but ever present, is said to watch and judge silently. It represents the idea that dragons do not measure trainers by power alone, they measure the heart. The Dragon's Den also connects the mythology of Johto to that of Kanto. It is believed that the same ancient lineage of Dragonair that once roamed the Kanto seas evolved here over centuries, finding refuge in the warm waters of this cavern. The Dragonite who live here continue the legacy of their ancestors from Bill's Lighthouse and the Orange Archipelago. Their presence bridges regions and eras, tying together the story of Dragonite across the world. When Ash finally earns Claire's respect, she tells him something that lingers long after the battle is over. True mastery isn't about command, she says softly. It's about harmony. Behind her, Dragonite watches, its expression calm, almost proud. The den itself seems to glow brighter in that moment, as if approving of both trainer and Pokémon. The Dragonite of the Dragon's Den remains a symbol of wisdom and spiritual strength. It represents the moment when the line between myth and reality disappears, when power becomes patience, and when victory becomes understanding. As the chapter closes, the cave falls quiet again. Water drips gently from the ceiling into the pools below. Somewhere in that silence, Dragonite's wings move once, stirring the air, a reminder that greatness in Pokémon, and in life, always begins with peace. Chapter 11. Iris and her unruly Dragonite. As the Unova region became the setting for a new chapter in the Pokémon anime, Dragonite returned to the story once again, this time through Iris, a young dragon-type trainer with a bold personality and an unshakable dream of becoming a Dragon Master. Her journey brought a new light to Dragonite's legend, showing that even the gentlest Pokémon can carry storms within. The story began when Iris encountered a wild Dragonite that had been injured after protecting other Pokémon from danger. A sudden power plant malfunction had drawn the attention of local trainers, and when they arrived, they found the massive Dragonite surrounded by twisted metal and smoke. It had been fighting off attackers to save a trapped Pokémon inside the building. Though it had succeeded, the damage left it weak and defensive. When Iris approached, Dragonite lashed out, its pride unwilling to accept help. The episode captured the struggle between two strong spirits. Iris, known for her impulsive nature, refused to back down. She saw through Dragonite's anger and recognized the pain behind it. While others argued that the Pokémon was too dangerous to approach, Iris stepped forward without hesitation. She spoke gently, her voice steady, even as Dragonite glared at her. She told it that protecting others was a noble act, not a reason for shame. Slowly, its breathing calmed. When Dragonite finally allowed her near, Iris laid her hand on its scales, and a bond formed instantly. She didn't need a battle or a Pokeball to prove her worth. Dragonite saw something in her, a reflection of itself, fiery but compassionate. With a deep sigh, it allowed her to capture it, not as a conquest, but as a partnership born of mutual respect. Yet even after joining her team, Dragonite's stubborn nature did not fade. It refused to follow orders at first, choosing its own approach in battles. During one memorable match, Iris commanded it to dodge, but Dragonite stood firm, taking the attack head-on. The audience gasped, yet Dragonite won the battle through sheer resilience. Iris was proud but frustrated. Their connection was strong, but their communication was fragile. Over time, the two learned from each other. Iris realized that Dragonite's defiance came not from arrogance, but from instinct. It was a Pokémon that trusted its own judgment, shaped by years of independence. Through patience and understanding, Iris began to earn its full loyalty. When she praised Dragonite instead of scolding it, its spirit softened. When she listened instead of commanded, its trust deepened. Their story reflected the same message taught by Claire and Lance before her, that dragons do not follow force, they follow heart. In later battles, Iris and Dragonite fought in perfect sync. During the World Tournament Junior Cup, their teamwork shone brightly. Dragonite's power was unmatched, but it fought with grace and timing that mirrored its trainer's growth. Even when facing seasoned opponents, Iris relied on empathy over strategy. She reminded Dragonite of the values it had once lived by: protection, loyalty, and compassion. What made their story special was its realism. Their relationship wasn't instantly perfect. It grew through challenge, misunderstanding, and forgiveness. Much like human friendship, the series treated Dragonite not as a flawless hero, but as a complex creature with emotions and pride. That honesty made viewers connect deeply with it. In the quiet moments after battles, Dragonite would often rest beside Iris under the open sky. She would lean against its massive arm, talking softly about her dream of becoming a dragon master. Dragonite listened without words, its eyes half closed, a faint smile in its expression. It had gone from a solitary guardian to a mentor and companion. Together they embodied the balance between wild instinct and gentle trust. Iris's Dragonite stands as one of the most memorable in the anime. It showed that even the strongest Pokémon can learn, and even the most passionate trainers must sometimes yield. Through their bond, Dragonite's legacy evolved again, not just as a protector or messenger, but as a partner capable of growth, emotion, and understanding. As the sun set over the Unova skies, the two sat quietly together, watching clouds drift by. For Iris, Dragonite was proof that mastery was not about control, it was about connection. And for Dragonite, Iris was proof that even the fiercest dragons could find peace in friendship. Chapter 12. The Warmth Beneath the Scales. For all its power and legendary presence, Dragonite has always carried a gentle soul. Beneath its tough scales lies a warmth that defines its every story. This quality, often shown in quiet moments rather than battles, is what has made Dragonite so beloved across the Pokémon world. It is not only a symbol of might, but of kindness, an enormous creature with a heart as calm as the ocean it guards. Throughout the anime, subtle scenes have revealed this side of Dragonite. After fierce fights or storms, it often helps the very Pokémon it once battled. It is known to rescue others, carry them to safety, and even comfort them afterward. One of the most touching examples occurred during the early Orange Islands episodes, when a massive Dragonite was seen watching over smaller Pokémon resting along the shore. It lowered its head, almost bowing, allowing them to climb up and play. The moment lasted only seconds on screen, but it spoke volumes about its character. Dragonite's warmth also shines through its interactions with humans. Trainers who meet it for the first time often expect something intimidating. Instead, they are greeted by its curious eyes and gentle demeanor. Its hands are small for its size, perfect for holding fragile objects with surprising delicacy. In later series, Dragonite can be seen assisting people in need, carrying supplies, delivering food, or even simply helping travelers find their way. These quiet actions are what make it a guardian, not its power alone. In the Pokédex, several entries emphasize Dragonite's kind disposition. It is said to guide lost ships back to land, to shelter Pokémon from storms, and to understand human speech to a remarkable degree. Trainers describe feeling safe simply by standing near one, as though its presence radiates calm. The anime portrays this sense beautifully. When Dragonite walks, the music often slows. The scene takes on a warm glow, soft and inviting. It is not just a dragon, it is a source of peace. One episode from the Johto era captures this spirit especially well. During a storm, a group of young Pokémon are trapped in a flooded valley. As lightning flashes across the sky, a massive Dragonite appears through the rain. Without a word, it scoops the frightened Pokémon into its arms and carries them to higher ground. The moment is slow and tender. Even though the creature could destroy the valley with a single attack, it moves as gently as the falling rain. When the storm ends, it looks back at the valley, its eyes full of quiet contentment, and then disappears into the clouds. Scenes like this remind audiences that Dragonite's legacy isn't built only on myth or battle, but on emotion. Its role in the world is to bring balance, to stand between chaos and calm, fear and safety. It doesn't seek gratitude, nor does it linger for recognition. Once peace is restored, it simply flies away. That restraint gives its kindness even greater depth. Even in its moments of rest, Dragonite exudes warmth. In the Pokémon centers of later regions, trainers are sometimes seen resting beside their Dragonite, using its belly as a pillow, or leaning against its arm. The Pokémon hums softly, a sound almost like purring, showing affection without words. These glimpses of everyday comfort reveal why it has become one of the most cherished Pokémon across generations. This gentle warmth is also what makes Dragonite unique among dragon types. Many dragons across regions are fierce, proud, or solitary. Dragonite, however, opens its heart freely. It trusts quickly, forgives easily, and loves deeply. It can fight with the strength of a storm, yet soothe with the patience of sunlight. This duality, immense power wrapped in compassion, is what truly defines it. As night falls on this chapter, imagine Dragonite resting on a seaside cliff, its wings folded, tail flicking slowly as waves break below. Small Pokémon sleep beside it, safe in its shadow. The moonlight glints off its scales, warm even in silver light. It breathes steadily, content in the quiet world it protects. This is Dragonite's truest nature, the warmth beneath the scales. Strength may make it legendary, but kindness makes it eternal. Chapter 13: The Air Battle Master. As the Orange Islands faded into memory and new regions rose, Dragonite's legend continued to evolve. Among its most graceful portrayals came during Ash's travels through the Decolor Islands, where he met a Dragonite unlike any other, a master of the skies, known for its aerial elegance and commanding presence. This Dragonite did not guard the seas or carry messages. It danced through the clouds with the mastery of an artist, embodying flight as both power and poetry. The episode began on a warm, sunlit afternoon. Ash and his friends spotted a Dragonite soaring high above the islands, its orange wings cutting through the pale blue sky. Local trainers called it the Air Battle Master, a Pokémon that had never been defeated in mid-air combat. It had a reputation for challenging any flying Pokémon that entered its territory, not out of malice but from a deep desire to test its skill. The locals respected it, even admired it, but few dared to approach. When Ash learned of the Dragonite's legend, he was eager to meet it. He and Iris took to the skies on Charizard and Dragonite respectively, tracing the wind currents that circled the islands. The higher they climbed, the quieter the world became. The roar of the sea below faded until there was only the sound of wind whistling past. Then, through a bank of white clouds, the Air Battle Master appeared. Its eyes were calm but sharp, assessing them with silent confidence. The battle that followed was not one of anger but of respect. Dragonite faced Ash's Charizard in a duel that played more like a dance than a fight. They twisted through spirals of air, wings brushing vapor, their movements fluid and measured. The sky became their stage. Each attack, Dragon Pulse, Flamethrower, Thunder Punch, flashed across the open expanse like lightning over water. The scene captured the beauty of aerial combat in its purest form. Ash and Charizard gave everything they had, but Dragonite's mastery of air was unrivaled. It anticipated every maneuver, reading the flow of wind and responding as though it were part of it. Yet even in victory, it never displayed dominance. When Charizard collapsed, Dragonite hovered nearby, bowing its head slightly in acknowledgement. There was no pride in its face, only mutual understanding. It had not fought to prove superiority, but to preserve tradition, the art of flying itself. After the battle, Dragonite descended to the island's cliffs, where Ash and his friends approached it with admiration. It accepted their praise quietly, its wings folding neatly behind its back. Iris's own Dragonite watched in awe, recognizing in the Air Battle Master a reflection of what it could become, a balance of instinct and control. The encounter served as a lesson to all of them, that true mastery is found not in victory, but in harmony with one's nature. The local trainers later explained that the Air Battle Master often patrolled the skies around the Decolor Islands, not as a guardian in the traditional sense, but as a keeper of balance. It ensured that the skies remained a place of freedom for all who took to them. Even wild flying Pokémon were drawn to follow its path, learning from its movements. The islanders often said that when you looked up and saw a perfect arc of light gliding through the clouds at sunset, it was Dragonite tracing its invisible boundary across the heavens. This episode reinforced Dragonite's recurring theme across the series, that strength and serenity can exist as one. Whether it was the guardian of the Orange Archipelago, Lance's loyal partner, or the Air Battle Master of Decolor, Dragonite always carried itself with dignity. It moved through the world not to dominate it, but to keep its rhythm alive. As evening came, Dragonite took flight once more. The sunlight dimmed, painting the clouds gold, then rose into rose-colored dusk. Ash and his friends watched silently as the great dragon disappeared into the fading light. For a moment the sky seemed to breathe with it, the horizon glowing in the same warm orange as its scales. The air battle master was never caught, never claimed. It remained a creature of freedom, a reminder that even among the strongest Pokémon, some are destined to belong only to the wind. And somewhere beyond the clouds, Dragonite continued to soar, forever graceful, forever free. Chapter 14. The Myth Renewed in Alola. When Ash's travels brought him to the Alola region, the world of Pokémon felt lighter and warmer. The islands were rich with tropical color and deep cultural respect for nature. It was here that the myth of Dragonite found new meaning. While earlier generations had seen it as a protector of the seas or the companion of champions, in Alola it became a symbol of continuity, an ancient guardian guiding new generations toward balance and kindness. Dragonite was not a frequent presence in the Alola anime, yet its spirit was felt everywhere. The people of Alola honored flying and dragon Pokémon as spiritual messengers, creatures that bridged the physical and natural worlds. The island's traditions often spoke of great dragons who carried the stars across the night sky. Among the few confirmed sightings, Dragonite appeared as a visitor, an emissary between regions, arriving on the warm currents above the islands. In one memorable appearance, a wild Dragonite was seen training with local dragon-type Pokémon near Pawnee Island, where the skies opened endlessly above the ocean. It moved with calm precision, its wings catching the trade winds like sails. The younger Pokémon followed behind it, mimicking its rhythm. To the trainers who watched from below, the scene looked almost ceremonial, a dance between wisdom and youth. For the first time in years, Dragonite's image returned not as a battler, but as a teacher. Alola's view of strength mirrored Dragonite's nature perfectly. Here, power was not defined by control or aggression, but by empathy and connection. The island trials emphasized understanding one's Pokémon, not simply defeating opponents. In this way, Dragonite's gentle philosophy felt deeply at home. It embodied the same calm spirit found in the island's legends, strength guided by compassion. The trainers of Alola often spoke of a guardian of the clouds, a Dragonite who appeared at dusk to help wild Pokémon cross storm fronts safely. Some believed it was the same Dragonite who once guarded the Orange Archipelago. Others thought it was a descendant continuing its ancestors' role. The truth didn't matter. What mattered was the feeling it inspired. When locals saw its silhouette pass across the sunset, they stopped what they were doing and watched in reverence, whispering quiet thanks to the sky. Ash himself, though not partnered with Dragonite yet, felt drawn to these moments. During his time in Alola, he often reflected on his earlier encounters, Bill's Lighthouse, Drake's Dragonite, and the Guardian over the seas. Watching the sky from Melemele Island, he would sometimes wonder where Dragonite was now. The idea of such a kind, powerful creature moving freely through the air always filled him with peace. Even the Pokédex entries for Alola reflected this harmony. They spoke of Dragonite as a kind-hearted Pokémon that lives near the ocean, appearing only to those who respect nature. The connection to the island's values was unmistakable. It had become more than a single species. It was a symbol of balance, a reminder that the strongest beings in the world are often the most gentle. Alola also introduced the idea of mentorship through Pokémon. While other dragons like Como trained in defense of the islands, Dragonite served as a quieter teacher. The show depicted moments where smaller dragon types, such as Noibat and later Noivern, looked up to guidance. Dragonite would soar ahead of them, its wings steady against the ocean breeze, showing how to ride the air currents rather than fight them. The younger Pokémon learned by imitation, understanding that true flight was not forced but felt. These lessons captured the very essence of Alola's spirit, learning through harmony rather than struggle. This version of Dragonite felt almost spiritual. It carried the calm rhythm of the islands in every movement. When it landed, the ground seemed to quiet around it. When it looked to the horizon, it did so with the wisdom of something ancient and patient. The local trainers, used to seeing dragons as fierce or intimidating, began to speak of Dragonite as a sky elder, a being that guided without words. For the people of Alola, its presence blurred the line between myth and memory. The islanders would tell stories of a dragon who flew over the volcano at night, scattering sparks that became new stars. Some even claimed to hear soft wing beats during calm evenings, believing Dragonite was passing by unseen. These stories were told gently, never as warnings or commands, but as lullabies to children. Dragonite's legend became one of peace, a symbol of balance between power and compassion. In the context of Ash's journey, this era prepared him for what was to come. His experiences in Alola shaped his understanding of strength as something deeper than victory. When he finally met and befriended his own Dragonite later in his travels, that bond carried traces of everything he learned here. Alola had planted the seed. It reminded him that dragons are not simply creatures of battle, but companions of the heart. As this chapter closes, imagine the scene high above the Alolan seas. The sky burns softly with the colors of sunset, gold, pink, and violet. A Dragonite glides across it, silent except for the slow rhythm of its wings. Below, the islands glow with lantern light, and the sea sparkles like scattered glass. The people pause in their evening routines to watch the distant figure. Some wave. Some whisper thanks. And somewhere within that vast glowing sky, Dragonite looks down for a moment, its expression calm and kind. It has seen generations rise and fall, trainers come and go, legends turn to memories. But through it all, it keeps flying, carrying with it the same message that began at Bill's Lighthouse so long ago. True strength is quiet, and kindness never fades. Chapter 15: The Dragonite in Detective Pikachu. When the world of Pokémon took its first step into live-action cinema with Detective Pikachu, audiences saw something extraordinary. Familiar creatures were suddenly brought to life with real-world texture, movement, and emotion. Among them, Dragonite appeared as a rare glimpse of warmth in a bustling human city, bridging the gap between myth and modern imagination. Its brief but memorable appearance reminded viewers that kindness and courage remain timeless, even in a world of concrete and neon light. The city of Rhyme was a place where humans and Pokémon lived side by side, not as competitors but as partners. Amid the crowded streets, flashing signs, and futuristic buildings, Pokémon carried out everyday tasks. A Machamp directed traffic, a Ludicolo served coffee, and a Dragonite helped deliver important packages across the skyline. In this world, Dragonite's legendary status blended seamlessly with reality. It was still a powerful creature, yet its presence was calm and dependable. The film portrayed Dragonite as a guardian spirit within an urban jungle. Its scales shimmered under city lights, and when it flew, its wings cast large sweeping shadows against skyscrapers. Unlike the storms and oceans of the anime, this Dragonite moved through tight spaces and high towers, adapting to the modern world with quiet confidence. Its enormous wings created a breeze as it landed, and its eyes carried that same gentle intelligence that had defined the species since its first appearance at Bill's Lighthouse. In one of the film's early sequences, Dragonite is seen helping with emergency aid as chaos breaks out across the city. When smoke fills the air and frightened people scatter, Dragonite lifts fallen debris and guides smaller Pokémon to safety. The camera lingers on its face for a moment, showing not aggression or fear but compassion. Even within a story built on mystery and suspense, Dragonite remains a figure of reassurance. What made its presence remarkable was how natural it felt. The film's realism allowed audiences to truly imagine what living beside a Dragonite would be like. Its breathing was heavy and rhythmic. The texture of its scales looked soft, almost warm. The subtle lighting reflected the creature's calm energy. It felt ancient yet kind, like something that had existed in both worlds, one of fantasy and one of human reality. In the story of Detective Pikachu, Dragonite's inclusion carried symbolic meaning. The movie explored connection and empathy between humans and Pokémon, ideas that have always been part of Dragonite's legacy. Just as it once delivered messages in Mewtwo Strikes Back, here it stood as a silent messenger again, a reminder that communication and understanding transcend words. Even when surrounded by technology and noise, Dragonite represented the enduring truth that compassion never goes out of style. After the film's release, audiences quickly embraced its portrayal. Viewers described Dragonite as comforting, majestic, and exactly how I imagined it would feel to see one in real life. It became one of the creatures that defined the movie's gentle tone. While it did not play a central narrative role, its presence lingered long after the credits rolled. This moment in cinematic history gave Dragonite something no previous adaptation could, a sense of tangible reality. It transformed from an animated myth into something viewers could almost reach out and touch. That transformation deepened its legend rather than replacing it. As the city lights fade at the end of the film, imagine Dragonite resting on the roof of a tall building, wings folded as it watches over the sleeping city. The wind shifts through the night air, carrying the faint sound of its low, steady breath. It no longer guards ancient seas or distant islands. Here, in this world of glass and steel, Dragonite continues its oldest role, to protect, to guide, and to remind us that kindness shines brightest when the world feels uncertain. Chapter 16: Ash's Dragonite. When the Journeys series began, Ash found himself exploring new regions with a renewed sense of curiosity. It was during this adventure that he formed one of his most heartfelt bonds, meeting and eventually catching a Dragonite who would become one of his closest companions. This Dragonite was unlike any other in his long history. It was warm, affectionate, and filled with gratitude from the very beginning. The story began on Dragonite Island, a hidden paradise where Dratini and Dragonair lived in peace. The island felt timeless, untouched by human interference, with crystal-clear water and endless blue sky. It was here that Ash and his friend Go discovered a group of Dragonair struggling to learn flight. One Dragonair in particular seemed hesitant, unable to fully spread its wings. Ash watched quietly, sensing its frustration. He did not give commands or shout encouragement. He simply smiled, reminding it to trust the wind. When a storm later struck the island, the Dragonair that Ash had helped found the courage to rise into the sky for the first time. It flew through lightning and rain to protect the others, its scales glowing against the storm clouds. As it reached the eye of the storm, light surrounded it. In that instant, it evolved into a Dragonite. Its wings, now broad and powerful, carried it effortlessly through the gale. It had found its strength not through force, but through understanding. After the storm cleared, the newly evolved Dragonite approached Ash. There was no hesitation, only recognition. It had chosen him. Ash extended his hand, and Dragonite lowered its head, allowing him to gently place a Pokeball against its chest. The capture was quiet and peaceful, marked not by triumph but by trust. It was one of the most touching captures in Ash's journey, a moment of gratitude rather than victory. From the beginning, Ash's Dragonite showed deep affection. It often greeted him with wide arms and lifted him off the ground in an embrace that left him laughing and breathless. It had none of the prideful stubbornness seen in earlier Dragonite appearances. Instead, it carried a childlike joy, always eager to help and protect its friends. The Pokémon world quickly fell in love with its cheerful nature. In battle, this Dragonite displayed incredible strength, but its demeanor never changed. It smiled even during intense fights, fighting with focus but never aggression. It learned to counter ice-type moves with clever tactics, combining speed and aerial control in a way that made every battle graceful to watch. Whether facing gym leaders or legendary Pokémon, it fought with a sense of calm that reflected Ash's own maturity as a trainer. Its relationship with Ash was one of harmony. They shared unspoken communication, built not on commands but on trust. When Ash gave an instruction, Dragonite responded immediately, confident in his guidance. When Ash hesitated, Dragonite often reassured him with a nod or gentle touch. Together, they represented the culmination of everything Ash had learned from his years of travel, that friendship, empathy, and patience create bonds stronger than any strategy. Dragonite also became a beloved member of the larger team. Pikachu often rode on its back during flights, arms spread in joy as they glided through open skies. Gengar and Lucario trained alongside it, forming a quiet but unbreakable sense of family. When Ash traveled between regions, Dragonite served as his wings, carrying him across seas and mountains, echoing the mythic role it had once played as guardian of the skies. What made this Dragonite special was not its power, but its warmth. It embodied every lesson learned through generations of storytelling. The fierce, noble dragons of the past had found their counterpart in this affectionate friend, who lifted spirits as easily as it lifted its trainer. In quiet moments between adventures, Ash could often be seen leaning against Dragonite's side as the sun set. The Pokémon would hum softly, eyes half closed, tail flicking lazily in the sand. Their bond needed no words. It was simple, honest, and kind. Ash's Dragonite marked a turning point in the series, reminding audiences that strength is not measured by victory alone. It is measured by how gently one carries that strength. Through Ash and his Dragonite, the legend came full circle. The dragon that once watched from afar now traveled beside the boy who had once looked up in awe. And together, they continued to soar toward the endless horizon. Chapter 17: The Champion's Flight. Ash's partnership with Dragonite reached its peak during the World Coronation Series, a global tournament that brought together the greatest trainers from every region. What began as a friendship on Dragonite Island grew into a championship bond tested against the strongest rivals Ash had ever faced. Dragonite became his steady companion in the skies, and one of the pillars of his championship team. From the start, Dragonite carried itself with the calm confidence of a veteran. It never needed to show dominance or flash. Its strength was quiet, but every trainer who faced it quickly understood its presence. When Dragonite took the field, the air changed. Its wings beat once, sending dust swirling across the stadium. Its eyes softened, yet its focus was absolute. In early matches of the tournament, Dragonite showcased its remarkable endurance. Against Bia, the Galar region's fighting-type gym leader, Dragonite fought with patience rather than aggression. It endured powerful strikes from Graplock and Machamp, moving through each blow with controlled rhythm. Even when pinned, it refused to yield. Ash's encouragement echoed through the arena, and Dragonite responded by spreading its wings wide, catching an updraft, and rising again. It won the match through adaptability and heart, the same traits that had defined it since joining Ash's team. Later in the series, Dragonite helped Ash against formidable opponents like Raihan and Leon. It battled through Galar's harsh winds, matching the speed of Duraludon and the fury of Charizard. Its flight patterns were unpredictable, weaving through attacks with precision. When it struck, it did so with purpose, delivering Dragon Claw and Draco Meteor in perfect sequence. The camera often lingered on its face during these battles, showing determination without anger. It fought not to prove dominance, but to protect its trainer's dream. Ash's connection with Dragonite deepened throughout these fights. They shared moments of mutual reassurance before every match, Ash placing a hand on its chest, Dragonite leaning in close. Those small gestures spoke louder than any strategy. Their bond had no hesitation. When Ash gave a command, Dragonite acted instantly, trusting his voice even in the chaos of battle. One of the most emotional moments came when Dragonite was knocked down during a critical match. The stadium grew silent. Ash called out softly, not shouting orders, but speaking as a friend. "You've got this," he said with a smile. Dragonite's eyes opened, steady and bright. It pushed itself up slowly, wings trembling, and then took flight again. The crowd erupted in cheers as it soared above the arena, glowing in the sunlight that broke through the roof. Dragonite's victories were never celebrated with arrogance. After each win, it approached its opponent respectfully, bowing its head or offering a gentle handshake. Its sportsmanship captured the essence of what Pokémon battles were meant to represent: connection, not destruction. By the time Ash reached the Masters 8, Dragonite had earned a reputation as one of the most beloved members of his team. Fans across the world cheered whenever it appeared. It represented the heart of Ash's journey, the link between his early years of wonder and his maturity as a trainer. Dragonite's strength came not from raw power, but from the faith that bound it to its trainer. When Ash finally claimed victory and was crowned world champion, Dragonite stood beside him, wings folded, smiling quietly. The confetti drifted through the air, catching on its scales as Pikachu climbed onto its head. The image became one of the most iconic in the entire series. A boy who had started with nothing, now a champion, standing beside a Pokémon whose legend spanned generations. As the celebrations faded, Dragonite carried Ash high above the stadium, circling once through the open sky. The world below shimmered with light, and for a brief moment, everything felt still. This was the culmination of every flight, every act of kindness, every lesson learned from the dragons before it. The champion's flight was more than a victory lap. It was a passing of legacy from the guardian in the mist to the protector of the seas, to the partner who finally soared beside a friend. And as they disappeared into the clouds, their wings became the symbol of a dream fulfilled. Chapter 18: The Calm in Battle. As Ash's championship era unfolded, Dragonite became more than a powerful partner. It was a reflection of his growth as a person. Through all of its appearances, Dragonite's defining quality was calm. In the face of roaring crowds, unpredictable opponents, and high stakes, it never panicked. It never rushed. It simply breathed, read the field, and moved with purpose. This serenity became one of the most beautiful aspects of its character. In the Pokémon world, battles often carry emotional weight. Trainers shout with passion, Pokémon respond with fierce energy, and the field itself shakes with power. But when Dragonite fought, the energy changed. The tension faded. The audience could sense it. The rhythm of the match slowed just slightly, enough for viewers to see each movement clearly. It was like watching a steady current flow through a river of chaos. Ash recognized this early on. He often used Dragonite, not just for its strength, but for its grounding presence. When his team felt pressure, Dragonite's calm focus steadied them. Pikachu, Lucario, and Gengar all mirrored its composure when it was on the field. It radiated quiet leadership without ever commanding attention. For Ash, it was the perfect balance to his own excitement. In one notable battle, Dragonite faced Iris's Haxorus, creating a beautiful moment of symmetry between trainer and student. Iris had once tamed her own unruly Dragonite, learning patience and empathy through struggle. Now she stood across from Ash, whose Dragonite embodied those same lessons. Their fight was not about proving who was stronger. It was about understanding how far they had both come. The battle unfolded slowly, every strike deliberate and graceful. Haxorus roared and attacked with raw intensity, while Dragonite countered with smooth precision. It glided between attacks, never wasting energy. When it struck, it did so decisively. Even after taking a direct hit, it paused, inhaled deeply, and adjusted its footing. That single breath before moving again showed why it was so respected. It never fought from anger, only clarity. Spectators watching that match described the atmosphere as peaceful, even though the battle itself was fierce. The combination of power and patience left an impression on everyone who saw it. Dragonite proved that true mastery was not about overwhelming an opponent, but about understanding them. It turned every match into a lesson in mindfulness. The writers of the Journey series captured this perfectly through small details. Dragonite's eyes were always soft, its movements round and fluid. Even during high-speed aerial combat, the animation emphasized rhythm over impact. When it delivered a final strike, it never looked triumphant, only content. Its peace was unshakable. In many ways, Dragonite became a mirror for Ash's philosophy of training. Over the years, he had learned that each Pokémon required its own kind of understanding. With Charizard, he learned pride. With Pikachu, friendship. With Dragonite, he learned stillness. Their battles were quiet exchanges of trust, where emotion guided strategy. Off the battlefield, Dragonite carried that same tranquility into daily life. It helped calm Gengar when it became restless, lifted smaller Pokémon gently with its wings, and even played with children who approached shyly during travels. Its patience seemed endless. It had evolved from the Storm Guardian and Champion's partner into something more complete, a living embodiment of peace. The calm in battle was never about suppressing emotion. It was about channeling it. Dragonite's serenity reminded everyone that strength can be peaceful, and power can exist without rage. Trainers who watched its fights began to emulate that mindset, entering matches with quiet confidence rather than nervous energy. As this chapter closes, the image of Dragonite remains the same. Wings outstretched, breathing softly, eyes filled with warmth. Around it, the noise of the world fades. It stands still not because it is unmoved, but because it understands that true power begins with composure. In every motion, every choice, Dragonite teaches the same lesson. Calm is not the absence of strength. Calm is strength refined. Chapter 19: The Storm's End. Throughout Pokémon history, Dragonite has often appeared during moments of crisis. It arrives not with fury but with the quiet resolve of a guardian, bringing calm where there was once chaos. Across the anime, games, and Pokédex entries, it has been described as a Pokémon that rescues those lost at sea and guides them through violent storms. This chapter marks the heart of that legend, the image of Dragonite emerging from the clouds, restoring balance to the world below. The story begins on an open ocean under a darkening sky. Waves crash, lightning flashes, and the wind howls across the surface of the water. Ships toss helplessly against the current. Then, from the distance, a faint light begins to glow within the storm. A shadow moves across the clouds, massive and steady. The glow intensifies, and through the thunder comes a familiar shape, Dragonite, wings outstretched, pushing through the rain with calm strength. Its eyes are soft and focused, scanning the horizon for those in need. In several episodes across the series, this image repeats itself. Sometimes Dragonite lifts entire boats out of rough seas, carrying them to calmer waters. Other times it shields other Pokémon from debris and lightning. It never seems to tire, and its movements remain deliberate and smooth even against the wind. The camera often slows during these scenes, letting viewers feel the rhythm of its flight. It does not fight the storm. It moves with it, finding paths of least resistance, guiding the wind into harmony. The symbolism of Dragonite and the storm extends far beyond its literal rescues. Within the Pokémon world, storms often represent emotional turmoil or imbalance, rage, fear, or confusion. Dragonite's presence in those moments acts as the emotional resolution. It is both the guardian and the teacher, showing that even nature's most powerful forces can find peace. One of the most memorable depictions of this comes from the Johto era. A violent tempest threatens a coastal village, and Dragonite arrives to stabilize the winds. The people watch from below as it hovers between lightning strikes, glowing faintly in the rain. When the clouds finally break apart, sunlight floods the horizon, and Dragonite lowers its head slightly before flying away. It does not seek praise. It simply fulfills its purpose, leaving the people and Pokémon below in peace. In the Pokédex, this idea of selfless rescue is reinforced through generations of entries. From Kanto to Paldea, each region describes Dragonite as kind-hearted, intelligent, and protective. It is said that it can sense distress from miles away. When someone is lost or afraid, Dragonite somehow knows. Trainers often compare it to a beacon, a living lighthouse whose light shines through rain and fear alike. Its connection to the ocean remains one of its most poetic qualities. The water beneath it reflects its movements, turning each wingbeat into ripples of light. It is as much a creature of the sea as of the sky, its orange color blending perfectly with the warmth of sunset. In many ways, Dragonite symbolizes the bridge between worlds, between land and ocean, between chaos and calm, between fear and trust. This recurring role across decades of storytelling has made Dragonite a symbol of hope. It appears when people feel helpless, not to display power but to restore faith. The storm always ends when Dragonite appears. Its flight reminds both humans and Pokémon that the world still holds kindness, even in its most unpredictable moments. As this chapter closes, picture the sea after the tempest. The water settles, reflecting a sky washed clean of thunderclouds. The sun reappears, glowing soft and golden. In the distance, Dragonite glides low over the surface, wings brushing the waves. The sound is gentle, almost musical. It looks back once, ensuring all is well, and then rises toward the horizon. The storm is over, and peace returns. In every era, Dragonite's story ends this way. No matter how dark the sky becomes, it always brings the light back. Chapter 20. Bonds of the Skies. As the years passed and regions expanded, Dragonite continued to weave through the world's stories like a constant in the sky. It appeared in different eras, with different trainers, yet always carried the same spirit of unity. Across movies, special episodes, and even brief cameos, Dragonite acted as a bridge between people and Pokémon, between regions and generations. Its gift was connection. Wherever it flew, harmony followed. The Pokémon world often portrays the sky as a symbol of freedom. To fly is to move without boundaries, to rise above conflict and see the world whole. Dragonite embodied that idea. In every appearance, it brought others together, humans, Pokémon, even rivals, reminding them that strength without compassion has no direction. Its bond with the skies was more than physical. It represented peace, communication, and the quiet understanding that connects all living things. In several Pokémon movies, Dragonite appears during moments of transition or reunion. In Pokémon the Movie 2000, as the balance between the legendary birds begins to collapse, Dragonite is seen flying over open waters, searching for those who can restore peace. Though it plays a small role, its presence feels intentional, almost spiritual. It moves through the air like a messenger of calm, sensing that something greater than itself is stirring. The audience feels safer simply knowing it is there. Other times, Dragonite serves as a quiet companion to traveling trainers, guiding them through dangerous weather or vast stretches of ocean. In these stories, it rarely needs words or commands. A simple nod or glance from its trainer is enough. Its trust runs so deep that communication feels instinctive. The connection between Dragonite and the wind itself seems alive, as though the very air listens to its heartbeat. In one episode from the Hoenn era, an older sailor recalls being saved as a boy when his ship drifted too far from shore. He describes waking to find a Dragonite flying beside him, keeping pace through the night. When dawn came, it vanished into the clouds, leaving only smooth water and still air behind. Even decades later, the memory brought tears to his eyes. To him, that Dragonite was not just a rescuer, it was proof that kindness exists in the world. Ash's own Dragonite carried on this same spirit. During the world coronation battles, it often lifted his team across skies between regions, carrying them to new horizons. These moments outside of battle showed its truest purpose. When it soared with Pikachu on its back, or Lucario resting peacefully behind, the scene represented unity between Pokémon of every type and temperament. Dragonite's wings seemed to carry not only its friends, but the lessons of every journey before. The phrase "bonds of the skies" became a quiet theme across the Pokémon series. Trainers began to use it to describe the feeling of understanding one's Pokémon so deeply that no words were needed. It was not about command or control, but about shared rhythm. The skies, vast and borderless, symbolized that relationship perfectly. Dragonite was its embodiment. In the trading card game and promotional artwork, this theme continued. Many illustrations of Dragonite, depict it flying beside other Pokémon, Pidgeot, Altaria, Salamence, each image showing balance and companionship rather than competition. Even in silence, these artworks tell stories of coexistence. Dragonite is never alone in them. It is always part of something larger, guiding, teaching, or simply sharing the open air. The stories of Dragonite across regions and generations remind fans that some Pokémon transcend their origins. They are not bound by one location, one trainer, or one time period. They become threads that tie the world together. Dragonite's flight across the skies is one of those threads, an eternal connection between hearts and horizons. As the chapter closes, imagine Dragonite flying high above the world as night falls. Below, towns glow softly in the dark. In the distance, the moon rises, silver and calm. Dragonite glides effortlessly through the cool air, feeling the gentle pull of the wind beneath its wings. Somewhere far below, a child looks up and points to the faint orange shape moving across the stars. That child smiles, knowing exactly what it means. The bond of the skies remains unbroken. And Dragonite continues to fly, carrying the world's quiet hope from one horizon to the next. Chapter 21. The Pokédex of Compassion. Every generation's Pokédex adds another small piece to Dragonite's portrait, and when read together those pieces form a story about kindness. The earliest record in Kanto calls it a benevolent sea guardian that rescues drowning sailors. Johto's version adds that it is so intelligent it can understand human speech. Hoenn and Sinnoh both repeat the same theme, a creature of vast strength that uses power only to protect. Decade after decade, each region's scientists looked at the same orange dragon and found gentleness behind the muscle. The Pokédex rarely speaks emotionally, yet its language becomes tender whenever Dragonite is described. Its tone changes from the analytical to the almost reverent. Instead of listing attack potential or danger level, it speaks of loyalty, warmth, and empathy. To trainers, that phrasing feels like a quiet reminder that Pokémon are not weapons. They are companions capable of choice and feeling. Across the games, researchers in different regions studied Dragonite's ability to sense distress. They found that it reacts strongly to human emotion, appearing near people who are afraid or lonely. When someone cries near the ocean, stories say a Dragonite might surface to listen. These accounts, written like field notes, have become part of official record. No other dragon type is spoken of with such trust. The compassion the Pokédex describes is more than instinct. It seems to come from self-awareness. Dragonite is conscious of the damage its power could cause, and so it holds back. Trainers who raise one often comment on how carefully it moves in small spaces, folding its wings, lowering its tail, trying not to break anything. It treats fragile things gently, as though aware of its own size. That mindfulness feels almost human. In Unova's updated entries, the writers note that Dragonite will fly tirelessly over oceans to deliver aid to stranded ships. The detail that it never fails to return home completes the image. Compassion for Dragonite is not a passing reaction, it is a way of living. It helps, then quietly moves on, confident that the world is a little safer. Trainers who have worked with Dragonite in official research missions often mention the warmth of its body temperature. It radiates steady heat, strong enough to comfort smaller Pokémon that cling to it for warmth. Some scientists believe that this warmth is not purely biological, but an evolved response to its protective instincts. To those who have rested beside one, the explanation hardly matters. The feeling itself is enough. Even the most competitive Pokédex analyses, which usually list movesets and statistics, tend to end with a line about Dragonite's kindness. It is the only Pokémon whose scientific summary consistently includes emotional description. Over time, that consistency has turned its entry into something like a moral touchstone for the series. The strongest beings, it seems to say, should also be the gentlest. When children read through their first Pokédex and reach Dragonite's page, they often stop. The tone changes, the data softens, and suddenly the book feels alive. In that small pause between numbers and descriptions, they meet a Pokémon defined by heart rather than strength. As this chapter ends, picture a researcher closing the Pokédex at sunset. Outside the laboratory window, a Dragonite glides over the sea, wings bright against the fading light. The air is quiet, the ocean calm. Everything written about compassion becomes real in that single scene. The scientist watches, smiling, and whispers what every entry has always meant to say: power guided by kindness is the truest form of strength. Chapter 22: The Dragonite Cards of the TCG. Long before digital battles and cinematic adventures, many fans met Dragonite through ink, foil, and cardboard. The trading card game carried its legend in miniature, letting trainers hold a piece of that myth between their fingers. Each card, from the earliest base expansions to modern full art releases, portrayed Dragonite as both mighty and serene. It was never drawn as a monster to be feared, but as a calm protector, smiling gently even while surrounded by power. The first major Dragonite card appeared in the fossil expansion of the late Kanto era. It featured Dragonite hovering over a calm ocean, wings spread in a soft arc, the sunlight glowing behind it. Its move, Slam, reflected its strength, while its Pokémon power, Step In, hinted at its compassion, allowing it to switch places with others when needed. Players remember it not just for its playability, but for its art. That gentle smile captured everything the anime and Pokédex had already begun to teach. Later sets expanded this image. In the Gym Heroes era, a holographic Dragonite appeared as part of a Team Rocket storyline, symbolizing loyalty even under dark influence. Its posture was proud yet peaceful. The card's shimmering foil reflected light like waves on the sea, mirroring its mythic connection to water and sky. Collectors kept it not for competition, but because it felt kind. It radiated the same calm energy that had followed the character since Bill's Lighthouse. As the TCG evolved, Dragonite's appearances kept pace with the times. The EX and GX series introduced full-body artwork, showing the Pokémon in flight above clouds or cradling smaller Pokémon beneath its wings. In the X Dragon Frontiers set, an alternate-colored Dragonite, representing its shiny form, glowed in shades of soft green instead of orange. That small change made it even more mystical, like a guardian viewed through the mist. The artists of the trading card game often spoke in interviews about Dragonite's importance. They described it as one of the few Pokémon that could convey warmth without words. Its round shape, expressive eyes, and peaceful posture made it ideal for telling quiet stories through art. One card depicted Dragonite delivering mail across the sea, a tribute to its messenger role in Mewtwo Strikes Back. Another showed it soaring beside the moon, a simple scene that evoked both loneliness and comfort at once. Competitive players also valued Dragonite's cards for their versatility. Many versions could attack with a mix of power and support, offering balance rather than aggression. This balance reflected the Pokémon's personality perfectly. Even when designed for battle, Dragonite's cards encourage thoughtful play. Its abilities often involve protecting teammates or managing energy efficiently. Players quickly learned that success with Dragonite decks came not from rushing, but from patience and timing. As the years went on, each new generation reintroduced Dragonite with a fresh style. The Sword and Shield series brought beautifully illustrated cards that emphasized motion and color. One VSTAR card showed Dragonite diving through a storm, lightning arcing around it, yet its expression remained calm. Another displayed it at rest in a tropical cove, surrounded by Lapras and Wingull. These contrasts, fierce weather and tranquil beauty, captured everything Dragonite represented. Collectors around the world grew attached to these designs. For many, owning a Dragonite card felt personal. It symbolized kindness, nostalgia, and safety. Children who had first pulled the original fossil holographic card kept it for decades, passing it down to new fans. It became one of the most cherished pieces of early Pokémon history, its gentle aura enduring long after the game itself changed. In the trading card game, Dragonite stands as a bridge between artistry and storytelling. Each card tells a small part of its journey, reminding players of the same values echoed through the anime and Pokédex: strength guided by heart, courage softened by empathy. Chapter 23: Dragonite EX and GX Eras. When the trading card game entered its modern period with EX and GX expansions, Dragonite's image transformed again. It moved from the soft watercolor tones of early cards into vivid cinematic scenes filled with movement and light. These cards did more than update artwork. They celebrated Dragonite as a timeless powerhouse whose strength remained grounded in gentleness. The X era arrived during a time when Pokémon battles in the card game became faster and more strategic. Many Pokémon were portrayed with sharper lines and intense colors, reflecting their combat potential. Yet Dragonite's EX cards managed to balance this power with serenity. In one of its most famous illustrations, Dragonite soared through storm clouds, lightning curling around its wings. But its eyes were calm, even joyful. The scene told a story in a single frame, a creature born of the storm that had learned not to fear it. Players quickly recognized the card's impact on gameplay. Dragonite EX combined strength and stability, often using abilities that supported other Pokémon on the bench. Its design encouraged cooperation rather than isolation. It could accelerate energy, heal damage, or protect allies, echoing the guardian themes of the anime and Pokédex. In both competitive and casual play, Dragonite's cards always carried a sense of teamwork. When the GX series followed, Dragonite's portrayal reached new heights of artistry. Full-art holographics presented it in sweeping skies, glowing against sunsets or framed by curling waves. One particularly beloved card, Dragonite GX from the Unified Minds set, featured it flying with wings wide open, clouds swirling around it in golden light. Collectors admired how the composition gave it both majesty and approachability. Even surrounded by energy and motion, Dragonite looked peaceful. In competitive terms, Dragonite GX emphasized endurance and versatility. It could deliver devastating attacks yet still shield allies, staying true to the Pokémon's core nature. Many players noted that using Dragonite in a deck often felt like commanding a loyal companion rather than a weapon. The card's strategy required thought and timing, rewarding patience just as Dragonite's story rewarded compassion. The promotional art of this era continued to highlight its legacy as a unifier. Several special edition cards paired Dragonite with trainers or other Pokémon in cooperative scenes. One event release showed it flying beside a young trainer across a rainbow, echoing the theme of companionship that had followed the species since Ash's first encounter at Bill's Lighthouse. Collectors cherished these cards not just for rarity, but for emotion. The foil shimmer captured the essence of air and water, reflecting Dragonite's dual identity as a sky wanderer and ocean protector. Each card felt like a continuation of its myth. Holding one was like holding a memory, the storm guardian of the past meeting the modern age. Beyond the game, the EX and GX illustrations influenced how fans visualized Dragonite in other media. The trading card artists began setting new standards for how dragon-type Pokémon could be portrayed: powerful yet kind, majestic yet grounded. Their depictions inspired figures, posters, and official merchandise that carried the same calm expression and soft orange glow. By this time, Dragonite had transcended competition. Its image had become a language of peace within strength, something that united collectors, players, and casual fans alike. Whenever new sets released, people searched through packs not just for power, but for that familiar warmth on a holographic surface. The EX and GX eras proved that even as the Pokémon world evolved, Dragonite never needed reinvention. Its identity was already perfect. Through storms, through generations of trainers, through countless decks and expansions, it remained the same steadfast guardian that first appeared in Mist and Moonlight. As this chapter closes, picture a card resting inside a sleeve, light catching across its surface. Dragonite seems to move as the card tilts, wings shifting like real flight. Its eyes are kind, its presence calm. In a game of numbers and strategy, it continues to remind everyone who plays that heart and harmony will always be the greatest powers of all. Chapter 24: VSTAR and Modern Legacy. As the Pokémon trading card game entered the VSTAR and modern generations, Dragonite's legacy carried effortlessly into the new era. The designs became more dynamic, the colors brighter, yet the essence remained the same. Dragonite still represented balance. It still smiled gently through lightning and wind. Even in a game focused on power and spectacle, it continued to radiate peace. The VSTAR series emphasized evolution and transformation, ideas that had always fit Dragonite perfectly. Its cards appeared as a blend of power and wisdom, featuring it soaring through skies that glowed with soft light. Artists often painted it with swirling clouds behind and ocean waves far below, reminding collectors that Dragonite belonged to both air and sea. Each card felt alive, its composition capturing the moment between movement and stillness. One of the most celebrated cards of this period was Dragonite VSTAR from the Pokémon Go expansion. The artwork depicted it emerging from a storm, wings extended wide, energy spiraling around its body. Lightning flashed in the distance, yet its face remained calm. Fans immediately recognized the symbolism. Dragonite was not battling the storm, it was guiding it. The image felt like a continuation of the legend first told at Bill's Lighthouse decades earlier. In terms of gameplay, Dragonite's VSTAR cards embodied strategy and versatility. They combined heavy offense with clever recovery abilities, allowing players to sustain long battles rather than end them abruptly. Its special moves often referenced flight or weather, connecting to its mythic reputation. Even when redesigned for a faster-paced format, Dragonite's cards retained a sense of patience. Playing one felt methodical, almost meditative. Collectors admired how modern printing techniques brought new texture to its wings and scales. The holographic finishes shimmered with subtle warmth, giving each card the illusion of sunlight moving across water. Full art and rainbow versions became treasured pieces, not just for their rarity, but for their emotional weight. The sight of Dragonite smiling under a glowing sky seemed to anchor the entire era in nostalgia. Beyond the cards themselves, Dragonite's influence spread through the broader Pokémon culture of this time. It appeared in merchandise, digital artwork, and even event promotions tied to the VSTAR expansions. Each depiction reinforced the same narrative: Dragonite as a timeless figure of joy and protection. While newer dragon types entered the game, none replaced its quiet authority. It remained the original, the gentle giant whose presence reminded players of where Pokémon's heart began. The V-Star era also brought Dragonite closer to realism without losing its warmth. Artists emphasized the texture of clouds around its wings, the glow of light reflecting in its eyes, and the softness of its expression. These small artistic details made Dragonite feel tangible. For many fans, holding a Dragonite VSTAR card evoked the same wonder as seeing one appear in the anime sky, distant yet comforting, powerful yet kind. Even as the competitive meta shifted toward faster and more complex decks, Dragonite maintained its appeal. Players who used it often described the experience as grounding, a return to simplicity and heart. It represented not only a strategy but a mindset, steady, patient, and trusting. Through each new release, Dragonite remained a constant companion in a changing world. Its imagery never needed dramatic reinvention because its story was already complete. The calm guardian of the first generations had grown into a universal symbol of hope and kindness. As this chapter closes, imagine the newest Dragonite card resting beneath a soft desk lamp. Its foil catches the light in ripples of blue and gold, like sunlight over ocean waves. A trainer sits quietly, holding it for a moment before placing it in a deck box. The card may be new, but the feeling is familiar, the same warmth that began with a whisper of wings at the Lighthouse long ago. Dragonite's modern legacy endures, not because it changes, but because it reminds everyone of what Pokémon has always meant: friendship, courage, and peace. Chapter 25: The Shiny Dragonite Mystery. Among Dragonite's many legends, few have captured as much fascination as its shiny form. When a trainer encounters one, its familiar orange body is replaced with a soft shade of green, and its wings shift to a pale violet blue. The change is striking and unexpected, transforming a warm and welcoming creature into something mysterious and rare. Across games, anime cameos, and the trading card world, Shiny Dragonite has come to represent wonder itself, a symbol of patience, luck, and the beauty of rarity. The first time most trainers learned about this unique variation was during the early Johto era, when shiny Pokémon were introduced as 1 in 8,000 possibilities. Many players searched for years to find one, knowing that a shiny Dragonite would not only be powerful but also carry the mark of perseverance. For some, the journey became a personal goal to witness the moment when a Dratini's blue shimmer turned green upon evolution. The color difference sparked endless discussion. Why green? Some believed it symbolized the sea, a return to the Pokémon's roots as guardian of the oceans. Others saw it as a reflection of growth and renewal, aligning with the gentle personality that defined Dragonite. In contrast to the fierce red or black designs of other shiny dragons, this muted green felt natural and calming, as if it belonged to nature rather than fantasy. In the anime, Shiny Dragonite appeared only briefly, but left a strong impression. Its calm presence and distinct color made it stand out, and it often appeared in quiet or spiritual moments rather than battles. Each time, it carried the same peaceful dignity as its orange counterpart. These appearances deepened the idea that Dragonite, even in rare form, remained humble and kind. Collectors in the trading card community have long cherished shiny Dragonite cards. Early versions, such as those from the Neo Destiny and later Hidden Fate sets, captured the green form in elegant artwork. The contrast between its soft coloration and the brilliant holographic backgrounds created a sense of mystery. Holding one of these cards felt like witnessing something secret, a glimpse into the hidden side of the Pokémon world. Beyond aesthetics, the rarity of shiny Dragonite became a shared experience among trainers. Stories of long hunts filled online forums and conventions. Some players spent months breeding Dratini eggs, counting each one, hoping for that flash of alternate color. When it finally appeared, the moment was emotional. Screenshots were shared, friends celebrated, and even those who had not yet found theirs felt joy through someone else's success. The hunt itself became an act of patience and faith, values that mirrored Dragonite's nature perfectly. In mythology, rare coloration often symbolizes destiny, and Dragonite's shiny form fits that theme. It feels like the reflection of an older story, the idea that true kindness shines differently in each of us. The green Dragonite stands as a reminder that beauty can emerge from chance, and that rarity does not create pride but gratitude. Trainers who find one often say they feel honored, not accomplished. The mystery of its color has never been officially explained, and perhaps it never should be. Like the fog that once surrounded the lighthouse where Dragonite first appeared, some wonders lose their magic when defined. The shiny Dragonite remains one of those mysteries that keeps the Pokémon world filled with curiosity and imagination. As this chapter closes, imagine a calm night over the sea. The moonlight touches the waves, and far above them, a green shape glides silently through the clouds. Its wings catch the starlight, reflecting violet hues that shimmer and fade. There is no sound but the wind, no audience but the stars. It moves with the same grace as every Dragonite before it, kind, gentle, eternal, yet its color tells a quieter story. The legend continues, now touched with mystery and light. Chapter 26, The Dragonite of the Manga. In the pages of the Pokémon Adventures manga, Dragonite found yet another life, one built on loyalty, mystery, and heroism. The manga series often reimagined familiar Pokémon through a more serious lens, grounding their relationships with trainers in emotion and realism. Dragonite's appearances across multiple arcs reflect all the traits that have defined it since its first story: strength tempered by compassion, courage balanced by restraint, and wisdom that outlasts any battle. Dragonite's most iconic role in the manga is tied to Lance, the Dragon-type master who serves as both a champion and, at times, an anti-hero. His Dragonite is a towering figure, drawn with sharp, powerful lines that emphasize its immense scale. When it first appears, it is not shown in gentle flight, but in motion, wings slicing through wind, tail leaving a trail of turbulence behind. It embodies the storm that Lance seeks to command. Yet as the chapters progress, it becomes clear that beneath that power lies empathy, mirroring the complexity of its trainer. During the red, blue, and green arcs, Lance's Dragonite faces the protagonists in battle. Despite its overwhelming advantage, it never behaves like a creature of chaos. Each attack is deliberate, measured, and purposeful. When it defeats an opponent, it steps back, watching with an almost sorrowful expression. This restraint highlights the consistent theme that Dragonite fights only when necessary. It is a warrior that understands mercy. The manga also explores Dragonite's intelligence in greater depth than most adaptations. Lance often communicates with it through glances or single words, yet the Pokémon always understands perfectly. Their bond feels ancient, like two souls that have walked side by side through countless skies. At one point, Lance describes Dragonite as the heart of the wind, a phrase that captures both its physical strength and its spiritual calm. Other trainers in the manga also interact with Dragonite in meaningful ways. Claire, Lance's cousin and the leader of Blackthorn City Gym, reveres the species with quiet pride. In her care, Dragonair and Dragonite are treated as family, not tools. The series shows her tending to a Dragonite after battle, her hand resting gently on its head as it exhales softly. These quiet panels speak volumes. They show Dragonite's gentleness in contrast to its massive power, the same dichotomy that defines every version of it across media. Beyond the mainline arcs, special side stories have featured Dragonite as both companion and guide. In one, a Dragonite carries a young trainer across the ocean to reunite with her family after a storm. The panels linger on its wings gliding over waves, the reflection of the moon following them. No dialogue is needed. The emotion is in the art. Readers see the same guardian that once appeared in the anime's Lighthouse and the same savior described in the Pokédex. The mediums differ, but the heart remains the same. Artistically, the manga portrays Dragonite with more realism than in animation. Its muscles are defined, its wings heavy, and its expressions subtle. Yet despite its physical presence, what stands out most are its eyes. They are drawn large and soft, conveying emotion through silence. Whether it stands victorious or watches the horizon, those eyes remind readers that Dragonite is not a beast of pride but of conscience. The Pokémon Adventures manga often blurs the line between fantasy and reality, and in doing so, it reveals why Dragonite has endured for so long. It is not simply a symbol of strength, it is a reflection of humanity's better nature, a guardian that chooses mercy over power. Through its loyalty to Lance, its connection to Claire, and its quiet appearances in stories of rescue, Dragonite embodies every theme the series holds dear: trust, empathy, and harmony between worlds. As this chapter closes, imagine the final panel of a manga page. Lance stands on a mountain peak, cape drifting in the wind, his Dragonite behind him. The sky stretches wide, clouds glowing at the edge of sunset. Dragonite's wings unfold, stirring the air with soft ripples. There are no words, only the shared silence between trainer and Pokémon. A silence that speaks of respect, of journeys past, and of skies yet to be flown. Chapter 27: The Cultural Symbol of Peaceful Strength. Over time, Dragonite has come to represent something greater than battle or rarity. It has grown into a cultural symbol of peaceful strength, known even by those who have never played the games or watched the anime. Across art, merchandise, and fan communities, it stands as the gentle dragon, a creature powerful enough to protect the world, yet kind enough to comfort a child. This chapter explores how Dragonite transcended the boundaries of fiction to become an emblem of empathy, perseverance, and hope. From the earliest years of the franchise, Dragonite's appearance stood out among its peers. While other dragon types were fierce and imposing, Dragonite's rounded features and soft colors made it look approachable. It carried the shape of something mythic, but the face of a friend. This balance gave it universal appeal. People who might have feared dragons found warmth in its design. Its calm smile invited trust, and that invitation has never faded. In Japan, Dragonite has often been featured in promotional art tied to positive emotions: friendship, courage, and safety. It has appeared on official Pokémon Center merchandise carrying mailbags, or helping smaller Pokémon cross rivers. Posters from the early 2000s showed it guiding trainers through skies above calm seas, a modern continuation of its original Lighthouse myth. Children's picture books portrayed Dragonite as a gentle giant who helps rather than harms, reinforcing the lesson that strength is most beautiful when it protects others. In the West, Dragonite quickly became a fan favorite for similar reasons. It bridged cultural ideals of heroism. To some, it was a knight's dragon, loyal, brave, and noble. To others, it represented peaceful guardianship, closer to a spirit or guardian angel. Its duality gave it a universality that few Pokémon possess. It could be fierce or tender, solitary or social, playful or solemn. However one imagined it, Dragonite always carried kindness at its center. Across fan art and creative media, Dragonite is often depicted performing acts of care, carrying lost travelers, rescuing shipwreck survivors, or napping peacefully with smaller Pokémon nestled against its side. Artists around the world are drawn to that theme of safety. The orange dragon with sky-blue wings has become shorthand for comfort. In festivals and conventions, people wear costumes or create plush figures of Dragonite, not to show power, but to express joy. It is a dragon that makes people smile. This image of peaceful strength also carries philosophical weight. Within the Pokémon narrative, Dragonite represents a different form of evolution, one that mirrors personal growth. It begins as the timid Dratini, evolves into the graceful Dragonair, and finally becomes Dragonite, the confident protector. The transformation is not about aggression, but about self-acceptance. That story resonates deeply with fans who see in it a metaphor for maturing without losing gentleness. In competitive culture, Dragonite has inspired the same respect. Even when the game's meta shifted to faster or more aggressive playstyles, many trainers kept it on their teams because of its symbolism. They described it as a reminder that strategy does not need to sacrifice patience, and that victory achieved calmly feels different than victory earned through chaos. The Pokémon Company itself recognizes Dragonite's role as an ambassador of kindness. It has appeared in global campaigns about teamwork, friendship, and perseverance. In one event celebrating 25 years of Pokémon, Dragonite was featured alongside Pikachu and Eevee, not as a mascot of battle, but as a symbol of unity. What makes Dragonite remarkable is that it never needed reinvention to achieve this stature. Its meaning has been consistent since that first silhouette appeared through the mist at Bill's Lighthouse. It continues to represent hope, balance, and the belief that great power can live peacefully in the world. As this chapter closes, imagine a mural painted on the side of a city building. Children look up as Dragonite soars above them, wings spread wide across the bright blue sky. The clouds swirl softly behind it, forming the shape of a smile. Below, people point, laugh, and feel lighter for a moment. In that shared glance upward, they remember why they love Pokémon. They remember that kindness can be mighty, and that even the strongest guardians can also be gentle. Chapter 28: The Legacy and Competitive Battles. Within the realm of competitive Pokémon, Dragonite has maintained a reputation that few others can match. It is both a relic of the original generation and a continuing presence in modern play. Across decades of tournaments and online battles, trainers have turned to Dragonite not only for its power but for its reliability. It has changed with every new format, adapted to every rule set, and yet its core identity has never shifted. Dragonite represents balance, the perfect midpoint between offense, defense, and grace. In the earliest games, Dragonite was considered one of the most powerful Pokémon in existence. With its high attack and impressive durability, it could dominate opponents when used correctly. But early trainers quickly learned that Dragonite was not an easy Pokémon to master. Its potential required patience, prediction, and understanding. When a trainer truly connected with it, the results were remarkable. Players described it as steady rather than flashy, capable of winning long battles through careful planning. As the generations evolved, so did Dragonite's strategies. The introduction of abilities changed the game forever, and Dragonite received one that fit its spirit perfectly: multiscale. This ability reduced the damage it took when at full health, allowing it to survive even the strongest opening attacks. It reflected Dragonite's personality as a guardian who withstands the first strike, then responds with calm precision. The ability quickly made it one of the most respected Pokémon in the competitive scene. Dragonite's move pool also grew wider through the years. With access to Dragon Dance, it could boost both its speed and attack, transforming from a defensive pivot into a sweeping force. Trainers learned to use this balance carefully, waiting for the right moment to strike. In many ways, competitive play with Dragonite mirrored the themes of its story: patience, timing, and confidence. It was never about rushing an opponent. It was about knowing when the wind was right to take flight. During the mid-generations, when Fairy-type Pokémon entered the game and posed a challenge to dragons everywhere, Dragonite adapted once again. Trainers shifted strategies, teaching it coverage moves like Earthquake, Fire Punch, or Iron Head to counter new threats. Others turned to support roles, using Dragonite's natural bulk and soothing nature to protect teammates. Its versatility kept it relevant even when the game itself changed dramatically. In tournaments, Dragonite often served as the cornerstone of balanced teams. It was rarely the centerpiece of offense, but always the steady presence that tied strategies together. Opponents respected it, even feared it, because of its unpredictability. A Dragonite on the field could be anything: a defensive wall, an attacker, a weather controller, or a supportive ally. Few Pokémon could offer so many options while still carrying such heart. Beyond its statistics, Dragonite carried emotional significance in competitive play. It was a reminder of where Pokémon began. Many veteran trainers included it on their teams as a tribute to their childhood journeys through Kanto. Even new players felt its aura, describing it as a symbol of calm confidence amid a game defined by constant change. Watching a Dragonite glide onto the battlefield felt like watching history arrive with gentle authority. Throughout global competitions, one constant remained: Dragonite never relied on trickery. Its strategies were honest, its wins earned through understanding and patience. When it delivered a finishing blow with Outrage or Dragon Claw, it did so without arrogance. It remained composed, loyal to its nature. Modern formats continue to honor it. Even as newer, faster, or more specialized dragon types rise, Dragonite's versatility keeps it in play. Multi-scale ensures it can endure. Its balanced stats keep it adaptable. And its gentle design makes it as beloved as ever. Competitive players often say that Dragonite feels alive, that it fights with them, not just for them. As this chapter closes, imagine the sound of a stadium filled with quiet anticipation. Trainers face each other under bright lights, and on the field Dragonite stands poised. Its wings lift slightly, as if catching a faint breeze, its eyes steady and kind. When the battle begins, it moves with precision, born of experience. Win or lose, it bows its head respectfully before the next match. The crowd cheers not only for its power, but for its grace. Dragonite remains, as it always has been, a champion of balance, proof that true strength needs neither noise nor pride to endure. Chapter 29. The Heart of Dragon Types. Among all Dragon-type Pokémon, Dragonite holds a unique place. It was the first of its kind introduced to the world, the original symbol of what dragons could represent within the Pokémon universe. From that foundation, Every future dragon type has followed its example in some way. Salamence, Garchomp, Haxorus, and countless others owe their design, mythology, and temperament to the quiet blueprint Dragonite created. It did not define dragons through fear or ferocity, but through balance, power guided by compassion. In Kanto, Dragonite was known simply as the Dragon Pokémon. That title alone gave it a mythical weight. Players who reached the Indigo Plateau faced Lance's Dragonite as the ultimate test. It was strong, fast, and wise, yet its design contrasted beautifully with that danger. Where many expected a terrifying serpent or armored beast, they met a creature that looked almost friendly. Its round features and gentle expression subverted the archetype completely. It was the first hint that in Pokémon, dragons could be kind. The influence of that design shaped generations that followed. In Johto, Kingdra mirrored Dragonite's oceanic connection. In Hodian, Salamence carried the dream of flight that Dragonair once symbolized. In Sinnoh, Garchomp echoed its versatility and protective instincts. Even in regions far beyond Kanto, where dragons became more exotic and elemental, traces of Dragonite's nature remained, strength tempered by empathy, majesty softened by warmth. Writers and designers within the franchise have often acknowledged this legacy. When developing new dragon types, they returned to the qualities that made Dragonite special. They studied its balance of beauty and strength, its rounded shape that evokes safety rather than intimidation, and its backstory as a guardian of seas and skies. In interviews, artists described it as the gentle anchor of the type, the creature that proved dragons could be noble rather than destructive. In the anime, this same philosophy carried forward through other dragon-type trainers. Iris, Claire, and later Raihan all shared Dragonite's belief in harmony. Their relationships with their Pokémon mirrored Ash's eventual bond with his own Dragonite, based not on dominance but on understanding. The type itself came to represent wisdom and emotional maturity. Trainers who specialized in dragons were not portrayed as ruthless warriors, but as patient masters who had learned to listen to creatures of immense power. Dragonite's position as the heart of its type also comes from its symbolism. In myths across the Pokémon world, dragons embody balance between natural forces, sky, sea, and earth. Dragonite connects all three. It soars through the air, swims across oceans, and stands grounded in kindness. It exists at the center of the elemental circle, making it a natural representative of equilibrium. Even in competitive and narrative roles, Dragonite remains the measure of comparison for new dragons. When a new powerhouse emerges, players often ask, is it stronger than Dragonite? That question itself shows how deeply it anchors the archetype. It is not only the first dragon type, but the one that continues to define what dragons should aspire to be: wise, patient, and protective. Culturally, Dragonite reshaped how dragons are viewed in popular media. Long before many modern fantasy series adopted the concept of friendly dragons, Pokémon had already introduced one that saved sailors, delivered letters, and smiled kindly upon the world. It reimagined an ancient myth through the lens of empathy. Its enduring popularity among fans of all ages demonstrates that humanity continues to crave strength that heals rather than harms. When people think of dragon types today, they imagine not destruction but balance. They think of the calm wind after a storm, of flight that symbolizes freedom, of power used responsibly. Those images all lead back to Dragonite. It taught the world that dragons could be guardians of peace. As this chapter closes, the sky glows in soft orange light. A flock of smaller dragons circles above the sea. Altaria, Salamence, Dragapult, their wings catching the sun. Among them flies Dragonite, leading quietly, guiding without command. Its wings beat slowly and evenly, the rhythm of the skies it has protected for generations. In that stillness between each motion lies its legacy. Dragonite is not simply one dragon among many. It is the heart that keeps them all aloft. Chapter 30: The Eternal Guardian. Every story of Dragonite, whether told in the anime, manga, games, or trading cards, leads back to one enduring image, a guardian standing between the world and the storm. It is a symbol that transcends time and media, an expression of everything that makes Pokémon meaningful. Dragonite embodies the harmony between strength and serenity, the belief that kindness is not weakness but the highest form of courage. Throughout every region, legends describe Dragonite as a protector of travelers and a savior of ships. Children grow up hearing tales of it gliding through rain, rescuing those who have lost their way. Even in modern times, the myth persists. Trainers speak of seeing its shadow pass across the moon, and sailors still whisper thanks to the sky before a long voyage. Dragonite's presence has become a comfort, a reminder that no one truly journeys alone. In the modern Pokémon world, Dragonite's influence stretches far beyond battle. It has become a universal symbol of connection. Artists depict it resting peacefully beside Pikachu, soaring above city skylines, or guiding smaller Pokémon through storms. It appears in classrooms, on murals, and in festivals as an emblem of peace. No matter the setting, the message is the same. Dragonite is the guardian spirit of friendship. Ash's Dragonite carries this idea forward perfectly. Its cheerful hugs, quiet loyalty, and boundless kindness reflect what the Pokémon franchise itself represents. Whenever Ash leans against it after a long day, or when Pikachu rests between its wings, that image resonates with every fan who has grown up with Pokémon. It is the comfort of returning home after an adventure. Dragonite's role as a guardian also speaks to human nature. Across every culture and generation, people create myths about protectors who appear when the world feels uncertain. Dragonite fills that role not through divine power but through compassion. It does not rule from above. It lives among others, watching quietly, helping when needed. It reminds us that protection can come not from might, but from empathy. Even as new generations of Pokémon emerge, Dragonite remains a bridge between eras. It connects the nostalgia of the early games with the artistry of modern stories. Its orange scales, once simple pixels, now shimmer in high definition, yet its spirit remains unchanged. Every evolution in technology, every artistic shift, only strengthens its image. Through all the change, Dragonite endures because it represents something timeless, a heart that refuses to harden. In fan communities around the world, the affection for Dragonite is deep and consistent. Fans draw it sleeping beside campfires, bringing mail to trainers, or guiding children on its back. Many describe it as the Pokémon they would most trust to travel with. Others say it reminds them of family or childhood memories of safety and wonder. These small personal connections are what give Dragonite its immortality. It does not exist only within the fiction of Pokémon. It lives in the hearts of those who believe in its gentleness. The final image of Dragonite's story is always the same. Somewhere beyond the noise of the cities, past the mountains and over the seas, a vast sky opens wide. The clouds move slowly, tinted gold by the setting sun. And in that golden light, Dragonite flies, steady, silent, and free. Its wings cut through the air with ease, leaving ripples of wind that soften into calm. Far below, the ocean sparkles like glass. A lone ship drifts safely toward the horizon. The wind carries the faint sound of waves, the world at peace once more. Dragonite glances down only briefly, its eyes filled with quiet satisfaction. Then it looks ahead again, toward the next sunrise. It does not seek applause or glory. Its story is not one of conquest, but of care. Every act of kindness, every bond it has formed, continues like gentle ripples across time. Dragonite will always be there, the eternal guardian of skies and hearts, flying endlessly through a world it helped to make kind.